It was a typically hot day. The slaves cleaned up the dirt and shoveled sand. They were also carrying water and putting in hay. All of this was only supervised by one small person. It was the Goblin. Relentless lashes on his shoulders, blood and sweat all over his body. This long life of slavery is unbearably harsh. The strongest man in the world, a man who won the title of champion at the age of 27, and also held the position of best fighter in the world for the last 2 years. The towels have been thrown away. The records continue. 23 wins and 0 losses. Heavyweight champions in the world's largest MMA league. A man who even had his last defensive bout before ending his career without a single defeat. Choi Hyun-seok of the Republic of South Korea. Choi Hyun-seok, this is the protagonist. Unfortunately, the unforeseen happened the day he ended his career. Hyun-seok died from being hit by a truck. He felt especially sorry for the money he was saving for his retirement. It was gone so easily. He had worked so hard up to that point. This guy died alone, wrestling until his death. 30 minutes later, he had accepted that it was even better this way. Now that Hyun-seok is dead, he doesn't have to train and no defense matches. The only saving grace is that he has no family or friends, so no one will be sad and his death. Suddenly, some kind of glow appeared in front of him. An angel appeared there and apologized for being late. She called Choi Hyun-seok an SSS-ranked hero. That angel's name is Rachel. As it turned out, she was a recruiter that she was looking for people whose lives ended on Earth. Hyun-seok asked if he was eating, explaining a little more. Rachel replied that he has 2 options. He can accept death as is and wait for his next reincarnation in the next life as a miserable old bachelor. Or he could immediately resurrect as a hero to save this world, which was exactly what Hyun-seok was waiting for. This was too sudden for him, so he asked for time to think about it. Especially these explanations seemed a bit meager to him. Rachel asked if he was really thinking about missing out on the opportunity of a lifetime. If he listened to the angel, he would gain wealth, honor, and beautiful women, and even special privileges. For those who become a hero right away, they offer as a bonus a status window that allows you to become powerful as a playable character. Roughly speaking, they provide an incredible service with many bonuses. Anyway, doesn't he have to fight if he becomes a hero? Hyun-seok just stepped aside after all, and she wants him to fight again. It's better to just die in comfort and be reborn already. He doesn't seem to understand, so Rachel will explain it to him properly. If he becomes a hero in another world, the village headman will come running to him barefoot and serve him food as soon as it starts. The hero will look at him fondly and calmly tackle the easy quests he gives, at which point the affected chief will say the following. My daughter is known as the most beautiful woman in this village. If the hero will be so kind and take the humble daughter, this old villager will have nothing more to ask for. It's surprising that he still doesn't even respond to this. Looks like she has no choice but to use Plan B. Let him forget about that offer if he doesn't want to. Rachel will think he doesn't care about that chance, so she'll leave right now. He tried to stop her, and Rachel advised him to just accept that his life was over as an old bachelor and enjoy his next life, though there was no guarantee that he would be reborn as a human in his next life. As soon as he heard that, he immediately clutched at her leg, talking about doing it. Rachel asked what he was saying. She couldn't hear it. Hyun-seok said he will do it. He's going to be a hero. In that case, they should get started right now. The guy really didn't expect to be transported to another world at this very moment. Rachel didn't understand what they had to look forward to. It was better for him to go to the beautiful other world as soon as possible, and the protagonist argued that you can't just send a person like that without any preparations. Rachel did not listen to him to the end, and immediately carried him off. Angel wished him a good adventure. If he was going there anyway, then why was he thinking about it so much? Rachel is already very busy as it is. Suddenly, she heard someone calling to her. She reported that potential hero 137,421, Choi Hyun-seok, had just completed his relocation. She also hoped that she would be sent a bonus right away. It was as if the guy heard a voice that told him to open his eyes and wake up. Could it really be the village headman the angel was talking about? The development was too obvious from the start. Suddenly, he was hit, saying to gouge his eyes out if he didn't wake up. Hyun-seok immediately stood up. I didn't understand. I don't understand what kind of crazy person who has such a death wish. In front of him was a monster who asked who he was to continue sleeping in the slave dormitory. Hyun-seok wondered if this was the village headman who had the most beautiful only daughter. The guy immediately called himself a hero. Is a hero really that stupid these days? Meanwhile, the guy didn't understand at all what was going on here. Could it be that something had gone wrong? It cannot be that this beautiful angel did this to him. In that case, Is this cowhead really just a learning quest? First things first. If he was able to, guessed it, then there is the next thing he should do as a Korean. He needs to take action. He immediately hit that flimsy monster from training and wished him dead. Everything went according to plan. However, he was able to stop the guy's foot and asked if he hadn't just called himself a hero. How tired he was of this nonsense. Where do these crazy bastards even come from? He heard a crunch. Most likely the bones were already broken. Apparently he'll only come to his senses when he's had a good night's sleep. So dear self-proclaimed hero must try to do just that. The underground prison. He demanded those lunatics open the doors and bring back that cow's head. He wanted to fight one more time. A goblin with a ball walked in on him and asked who was making noise in here. He threatened the man about making soup out of him if he screamed one more time. Hyun-seok promised to be quiet. The monster will keep an eye on the man. He understands everything perfectly, and this so-called awesome adventure in another world, where everything went wrong in the first place. In his previous life, he never even had a serious relationship with a girl. I wonder if it'll be the same the second time around. And where was the promised daughter of the village headman? He heard the voice of the elder soon-to-be hero. The man explained that they were in the fortress of the army of the Demon King that enslaves people. The protagonist immediately asked what was going on here, and why they were in this place to begin with. The man asked if he really wanted to know. He immediately called out to all the self-proclaimed heroes, asking if they were still alive. The real hero who had come to save them was already here. They immediately started demanding for help, saying that they are also heroes. As he can see, there are 100 heroes who have fallen into the fortress of the Demon King's army. The cowhead that Hyun-seok was looking for is the head of this place, Reborn, and the guard he saw earlier is called Jark. He's known for his cruelty, so it's best to be careful with him. But I guess there's no need to be careful anymore since he's already following Seok-hyung. And the reason they're all in this position is because of an evil demon named Rachel. If that damn demon didn't send them all to the wrong place, they wouldn't be here. Hyun-seok asked the man what he meant. It turns out they shouldn't have started in this place. He was sure of that. The heroes who had been captured in other places had told him that. According to them, there is another starting area that is only for heroes, and most heroes start in cities or rural villages. The heroes usually live normal lives without any abilities, but still, none of them start right in the middle of the Demon King's army. That means the reason Hyun-seok is in this hell is all because of Togo Angel, the second unit of slaves under the 3rd Battalion of the Demon King's army. The fish repeated that they were the great Demon King's great army. They will crush the humans and devour them. This is the end of today's work. It's time for them to go back. Hyun-seok would definitely kill that small and fat goblin bastard one day. Prison really is better. Come to think of it, that angel was talking about the special privileges of heroes and such. He'd forgotten about that, working all this time. He especially remembered about the status window as a special privilege. In situations like this, there's usually a popular slogan. As soon as he said the status window, it immediately appeared in front of his eyes. These numbers corresponded to his status. His stamina was 31, strength 28, agility 29, and mana 10. The man heard him say that he had such stamina. Hyun-seok also said that he had 28 strength points, and a pickaxe skill. He had said that he was a champion before, right? However, it was to be expected that Hyun-seok was different. He already has over 30 stats even when he's level 1, but he's still a slave. What was the use of all those stats anyway? The man assured that he could definitely escape from this place and become a real hero. Hyun-seok didn't want to hear the basis of this nonsense. He fell asleep at the words that normal people only get pick skills already. Even if that was the case, he would still only be level 1. How would he even be able to escape from here? Finally, he waited until that man fell asleep. Need to check again just in case. There are 2 items that seem promising at the moment. Mana gives superhuman strength, and these unknown hero points. Even these fake heroes don't know anything about hero points. No one has ever gotten such points. Once again, a familiar light appeared in front of him. It was the same angel that greeted Sir Hero. Perhaps Rachel should tell about the hero's glasses. Hero points are an important feature that makes the hero's life easier. They can be obtained by completing quests. She didn't even get to finish her entire sentence before she was immediately grabbed by Hyun-seok. He didn't care about hero points or anything else. First, she deserved a good beating. A little later, she was apologizing. Rachel would never have thought her magic circles were broken because she spilled some coffee while she was having a snack. The soundproofing magic activated, so as punishment, she must become his manager. More specifically, a personal fairy. Rachel has to be by his side and help him when he doesn't defeat the Demon King. She finished her internship 100 years ago. Hyun-suk apologized, but he doesn't care about hero business anymore. He's not going to defeat the Demon King. The guy meant that he can just live a normal life here. Rachel mentioned that of course there are many potential heroes in who decide life like that, but this guy has SSS level potential. However, that didn't mean he was obligated to do anything. He has never felt that this is his mission. He doesn't want to live his life fighting like he did in his previous life. After which, the guy wished her good night. At that moment, Rachel wondered about all the people gave him. Wasn't he an idiot who knew nothing but fights and women? So what was going to happen to her now? Who would have thought that she would be appointed as Choi Hyun-seok's personal fairy? Maybe she was wrong, but making someone with her experience as a personal fairy is just too much. And she should stay with him until he kills the Demon King. That decision was final. Personal fairy. As a subordinate of the assigned warrior, she must actively cooperate and go through successes and failures together with the assigned warrior. She will be sent to the demon fortress where Choi Hyun-seok is now. She must not return until she has completed her assignments. She sobbed at the fact that she would be thrown out into the filthy human world. In any case, the personal fairy must obey her warrior's every word. Then she must contribute to the escape plan. As soon as he heard his doors open, he immediately wanted to hide Rachel. The goblin yelled for that meat to wake up now. Rachel replied that she could use invisibility magic herself. And at the same moment the protagonist didn't realize, the roll call was fucked up. So why is the bastard here? It was only then that he learned that Sir Reborn had summoned him. He'd heard the man had been working hard lately. Jark had told him that he had a nice new mont. Who would have thought the stinking goblin would pay him a compliment? At first he thought he was just a crazy person, but it was nice to see him working so hard. Reborn offered him to be the head slave. Of course, Hyun-suk didn't understand what that meant. He's offering it because the pace of work had gotten much slower the past few days. Rachel hoped he wouldn't do that, right? He should reject his offer. How could a hero ever humiliate himself in front of the officers of the Demon King's army? He banged his head on the table, thankful for this generous offer. Hyun-suk would do his best to make these people work. Unlike his first impression of this guy, Reborn actually liked him. If he did a good job, he would get a special letter of recommendation to join the Demon King's army. At the same time, he was mentally saying goodbye to his escape plan. A few days later, they would repeat about being the great Demon King army again. They would offer their bodies and lives to the Demon King. But now there was a difference. They were being pushed around by Hyun-suk, talking about how even his grandmother could run faster. How are they even going to fill their quota today? The system reported that due to the fact that he has been leading a lot of people for a long time, his hidden charisma feature has increased. Betty the master slave is best. Others, however, realized that this guy had finally lost his mind. They had heard about how he used to be a hero, but now they clearly didn't believe it. Even Rachel claimed he'd lost his mind. They're going to be in big trouble if this guy keeps this up. Hyun-suk said to just trust the process. How could a sparrow like her even understand the intentions of a phoenix like himself? He pointed at the man and asked if he was crawling around like that because he missed his lunch. Reindrun's favor increased. The protagonist was only a few steps away from achieving his goal. He thanked Sir Reindrun. The lad would serve faithfully. Rachel, after all, thought that Mr. Hero wanted to go on an adventure and escape from this place. Is this really what adventure or escape looks like to him? He's just doing what the system tells him to do. Isn't following the system part of a hero's duty? But it raises favor from the officials of the Demon King's army. Does he really want Rachel to believe that such a hero quest exists? Hyun-seok was telling the truth. He could even read it out loud. He read about ending up in the Demon King's Holmia fortress because of some idiot's mistake. She didn't believe it, because this manner of speech is definitely strange. The system is a kind program that only uses neutral language. But that's the truth, so he didn't understand what to do. Perhaps a system with hero potential like his was just a little different. Last night, Rachel didn't understand how he could be so happy to accept offers. Hyun-suk mentioned that it's not him who's crazy here, it's her. Whose fault it was in the first place. Hero's quest. Finding himself in the fortress of the Demon King's army because of some idiot's mistake, he might feel as guilty as a person discovering that the toilet is out of toilet paper. But there's no need to despair. Fortunately, he has a chance to gain the favor of an officer of the army of the Demon King Reborn. The real hero must learn to use his enemy. It is necessary to gain the favor of Reborn. For fulfillment, he will receive 100 hero points. He ordered the slaves to start singing the song of the Demon King's Third Army Corps. Rachel couldn't believe that this was really his quest. Only the higher-ups could change the content of a quest. So why do it for Choi Hyun-seok? Jark approached him. The Goblin reported that Sir Rindrun had summoned him. He had heard that the slave's productivity had increased dramatically. He is but a humble, uncivilized man. It's all thanks to Sir Rindrun's wise decisions. Rachel was sure that such a cheap flyer wouldn't work. The system reported that he had achieved his goal. The hero's task had been accomplished. Was received with a point in the hero. The novice hero's store was unlocked with the first points. That actually worked out well. In any case, everything is going according to plan. The favor quest is done, so it's time to move on to the next part of the plan. Hyun-seok asked if he could start training slaves if Sir Rindrun didn't mind. Let him just imagine it. A group of elite labor slaves moving in unison. Slaves, experts in discipline, that do the work for 3 without a shadow of laziness. With such slaves, the fortress could be completed in a week. However, the men are physically too weak to work and train at the same time. Hyun-seok mentioned that the commander would then tell Rindrun that he did well. Once he heard those words, he immediately agreed. The protagonist thanked him for that. Rachel was sure that her heroes had lost his mind. First, he humiliates himself in front of the Demon King's army, and now he even trains slaves. How can she even live when she feels so depressed and hopeless? She really is too noisy. Hyun-seok had a plan. Rachel asked if he really wanted to make a fool out of her again. The guy wondered if she really thought he was her. He plans to use the slaves to start a rebellion. There are 3,000 human slaves in this fortress, and the soldiers from the Demon King's army are only about 500. In addition, there is a human alliance base near the fortress. You are in no hurry to build because of these humans. In the chaos of the rebellion, they might ask for support from the human alliance. She was thrilled that Mr. Hero wasn't just a dumb man who only thought about muscle and fighting. All that remained was to check the reward for the quest. Rachel was surprised that he actually got hero points. And the whole quest thing wasn't a lie. He had been talking after all. There's even such a thing as a hero store now. He was just asking for something good to give him. He could finally get hero skills. Except these skills weren't what he expected. First of all, they were rank F. The first skill was breath holding. The second was holding shit. The rest were cooking, cleaning, and laundry. Are those the skills a hero needs? Rachel explained that those skills are because of the level 1 store. If he collected her more points and leveled up his store, he would definitely get something useful. He wanted to get his hands on that rogue fairy already, and Rachel was asking for help. After which he came to the slaves. Now they will sing the song of the 3rd Army Corps. They are the great army of the Demon King. They will defeat the humans and devour them. One must forget all the suffering when they catch them. Nothing under the sky can be stronger than the love of a Demon King. He was glad he let this guy train them. That's where the Goblin ran in with an urgent report for Sir Rindrun. The human army is advancing here. It is said that the 8th Division that was opposing them has already been trapped and retreated. The 8th Division is the largest division in this area. If the 8th Division was defeated, it would be a matter of time before those bastards appeared. Just think of them having to surrender the fortress when it was almost built. Jark was saying that he needed to evacuate from here immediately. But Rindrun decided to wait a little longer. Since ancient times, it has been believed that war is a battle for war supplies. The first rule of war is to never lose the competence of a supply officer. He'll take care of Choi Hyun-seok and follow Jark. Aren't those bastards going to run at his command? Looks like today's combat training will be cancelled because of the surveillance. His abilities had increased slightly, but not enough to start a coup. He even wondered if perhaps some unexpected event that would help boost his characteristics. He was turned around by Rindrun. There was no time to explain, so he should go along with him right now. Hyun-seok asked why so suddenly and where they were going. Victory is within their reach. They had defeated some goblins. The commander shouted that bastard was the Red Nightmare Rindrun. He ordered the common soldiers to stand back. The knights will fight the enemy. Victory is right in front of them. Why are there human troops here at all? Perhaps now is his chance. A chance to stab the Demon King's commander in the back and return to human society. He was attacked by a knight who wanted to kill the Red Nightmare. But Rindrun didn't even let him get any closer. He squeezed his face right in front of Hyun-seok, after which he used Rindrun's martial art. The 7th technique, Blast of Destruction. Rindrun asked the main character if he was okay. Hyun-seok informed that he was leaving right away. There were 2 foremen calling out for citizens from the Marriott Kingdom and the Drasen Empire. The knight asked if they were warriors. The man replied that they were. He asked to come this way. They treat warriors and common prisoners differently. I was even beginning to feel glad that they were finally being treated as warriors. Olav and Grimier approached them. He thanked the warriors for coming. Herzog of the Drasen Empire, commander of the Allied forces, the knight told the commander that the evacuation of the civilians was complete. The man praised the good work. They had summoned all those who called themselves warriors. In that case, they could begin. The commander ordered all the soldiers into position. Now they would eliminate all the warriors in front of them. There were several strips riding there. Hyun-suk had already said goodbye to the other world, his adventures, and his second life. That red bastard had blown the heads off everyone who followed them, so there would be no more pursuit. Rachel asked the warrior to come to her senses. Crisis times are also an opportunity. She offered to go to their headquarters apartment and deal with the situation with the Demon King's army properly. He simply told that con artist to shut up. Reedrun fell asleep and just woke up. He asked Hyun-suk if he had said anything. The guy didn't say anything. He just muttered to himself what a part it was for him to go along with this gentleman. He was really glad Hyun-suk thought so. They were almost at the headquarters, the Third Corps, so let him not lose hope. When they arrived, he would definitely enlist Hyun-suk into the Demon King's army. He wanted to continue the journey with him together. It was seriously a great honor for Hyun-suk. It was announced that Sir Reedrun had returned, after which the gates were opened. Reedrun said to follow him, for he would take this guy straight to the commander. It was a great honor for him to meet the commander himself so quickly. It was indeed a great honor, but he must be careful of his behavior in the presence of the commander, unless he wants to die, of course. If one maintains his composure, one can even win in the tiger's den. So they say. We'll never give up. Reedrun called out the name of the Hemis commander, after which he was allowed to enter. At that moment he heard a woman's voice. Could it be that the commander is a woman? She was very happy that Reedrun had returned, the commander of the Third Corps of the Demon Army, Hemis. She even noticed that Reedrun had become more pumped up. The commander's beauty had become even more stunning. It was even a little hard for him to believe that such a beauty was a commander. Hemis thanked for the nice words. Shouldn't he praise her beauty too? He felt ashamed that he couldn't defend the fortress. There was nothing wrong with that. It's because of the commander of the 8th Division. It wasn't Reedrun's fault. We should have just made a bag out of his skin. He came back alive as a loser. Hyun-suk couldn't even breathe in her presence. This pressure was a whole different level from the ones he had met before. In any case, Hemis wanted to know what kind of person Reedrun had brought along with him. Reedrun called out Choi Hyun-seok's name. It was the same person he had told about earlier. He brought him here to enroll him into the official demon army. This person is quite nice. A talent personally chosen by Reedrun. But she had a question if this person would disappoint them. Hyun-seok will do his best. However, with a body like that, he won't last long in the demon army. Wasn't Reedrun also thinking the same thing? He really was in agreement with that. The others would devour this guy. But a person that joined the demon army isn't something unprecedented. With Hemis's permission, he was willing to personally train him. She said no. He can't waste his time on a human. She tore up her own face. Hyun-suk watched this very shocked. From then on, Hyun-seok is appointed as the caretaker of Hemis's pet. His name is Bobo. It's very cute. It's a bit like a dog. But is she sure it's not a demonic bastard that came from hell? Reedrun felt a great strength even though he is still a child. He also felt elegance. She was pleased that he understood everything. Hemis wasn't very pleased with this reaction, and asked if he didn't like it. Demon Army candidate Choi Hyun-seok. He would be honored to take care of the Bobo. That's what she wanted to hear. He's growing up now, so the guy mustn't forget to feed him. He gets angry when he's hungry. But that means a new caretaker is a tough job since he ate all the previous ones. Let him take his uniform on the way out. House Bobo. Rachel didn't expect to have a new hero assignment in the middle of the demon army. Hyun-suk said to be quiet because she might wake him up. No one knows why exactly he has to do this. He has to survive, earning the favor of the Bobo and hope for a better future. As a reward, he will be given 200 hero points. Now he must earn the favor of the commander's pet, and that's the hero's quest. A goblin who was looking for a human walked into him. Choi Hyun-seok greeted the goblin and also gave his name. He was assigned the goblin as a caretaker. They blatantly view the guy as an appetizer. The protagonist asked where the other elders were. The goblin replied that there are none, for they are all dead. So from now on, they will cook food for the Bobo together. At that moment, he was about to be eaten by the Bobo. The goblin immediately hid behind the guy's new ones, not expecting that this beast was already awake. He even offered him fresh human meat that had been prepared especially for the Bobo. He didn't understand what this crazy goblin was doing, and the ones started claiming that one of them would die anyway. In that case, it was this goblin who would die today. He threw in an appetizer for the Bobo. However, the two noticed that he definitely liked this snack. This was getting to be too much. Rachel asked for help as the Bobo tried to catch her, and Hyun Seok said not to run from him for so long because he'll get hungry again. He noticed an item in the store, a very large bone that can attract Canid-type monsters. Charms monsters of that type. 30 hero points are required. He might be able to do something with it. He called out to the Bobo. The guy showed the bone and asked if he wanted it. Since he wanted it, then let him catch it. Bobo caught the bone. Rachel asked how he even found such an item. It would have been glorious if he had found it earlier. It's all because of Hyun Seok's genius brain that doesn't miss small details. This quest should definitely be easy enough. I guess one bone wasn't enough. It looks like he needs fresh meat. Rachel wondered if he was thinking of taking him outside. They need to figure something out right away if he doesn't want to be eaten. The magic word that can calm an enraged dog. Walk. Bobo immediately calmed down. Now he was the sweetest thing ever. Here they are in the street. They had to ask where the kitchen was. Hyun Seok tried to catch up with Bobo. Rachel couldn't smell the smell of food. After that, she spotted the Goblin and offered to ask him. Hyun Seok apologized, but asked her to help her with directions. At first, he didn't understand why a person was here. After that, he was noticed by Bobo. Hyun Seok explained that it was Bobo's walk time. The Goblin didn't understand what the human was doing along with Bobo. Hyun Seok mentioned that Bobo couldn't eat him. The guy explained that he is taking care of Bobo from today. After that, he asked if Goblin knew where the kitchen was. He immediately ran away, but still answered that the kitchen was to his left. Hyun Seok laughed because he didn't understand why he was so scared. He even wondered if this Goblin was really part of the Demon King's army. Rachel thought so too. Looks like they'll just have to find meat in the kitchen then. They had a good laugh. It was funny. But Rachel hoped he wasn't going to take care of the dog forever. Hyun Seok asked what she wanted to say. He even had a dream of meeting a blonde girl and getting married. It was only at that moment that he noticed the Bobo missing. Where the hell had that dog gone already? If he's even a fraction of a second different, Bobo's gonna be in trouble. Rachel finally found him. He was already running back to Hyun Seok. The protagonist was so happy to see his baby. That doggy had him worried, except there was fresh blood at his mouth. They heard the announcement that Commander Regis was dead. The goblins were looking for who did it. After all, they wanted to do the same thing to him. Rachel was beginning to think that Bobo had done it. Rachel asked her hero if they were going to die like that. She had better shut up. Let her run if she had time to yap. Next was a dead end, so he had to stop. They found the man who killed the commander. They would have a good meal tonight. One of the goblins wanted to sit on his hand like a chicken wing. They just hoped the commander wasn't fully digested yet. It was always interesting to see what he tasted like. The dog and human would have to be torn apart first, and then they would share. He urgently needed to focus and gather his wits. He immediately shouted out, asking how dare they even dare. At the shout, other goblins came up. Hyun Seok asked if they even knew who the brave one was. The goblin thought it was a normal monster. That statement is very rude. It's Bobo. They had all heard that name, for Bobo was Commander Hemis's pet. But it's clearly a human trick. But what if he's telling the truth? How could they not realize it's a Bobo? Shame and embarrassment. The goblin asked the man what he was doing. Beast mode is on. Bobo was given the order to bite. A dog without a muzzle is very dangerous. Hyun Seok asked if there was any other demon that doubted Bobo. They immediately apologized and talking about what they didn't know. With the help of charisma, he subdued many demons. Charisma was increased. He was also rewarded for it. She just wondered why it was so noisy outside. And this was a cute newcomer who's doing interesting things here. Hemis's office. She was happy that he was using Hemis and Bobo's name to survive. Hyun Seok admitted that he had committed a grave sin. Hemis explained that it was a compliment. After all, he's human. He's smart, unlike the idiots here. He's also quite brave. The demon army tends to solve everything by force, which leads to a lot of problems. Even if he doesn't realize what those problems are right now, he'll soon find out for himself. Hemis inquired if he had thought about becoming a leader. He clearly hadn't expected such an offer with his skills. And why so suddenly? I'll take whatever's hard right now. She can't let him continue to use her name and Bobo. The demon army has a decisive duel to take the opponent's rank. She will protect him for a month, but after that, he will have to win the opponent of her choice. Each win will extend the defense for a month, and if he slowly climbs the ladder, maybe up to battalion commander. He would definitely be useful by then. Hyun Seok asked what would happen if he lost. In that case, he shouldn't expect any mercy from her. That guy would regret not dying during the battle. He had to agree since it appeared that she would kill him if he refused. She even picked an opponent on the spot. Rachel thought that in a month she would be saying goodbye to him. After all, she had told herself that he had a potential SSS rank talent. and already she was thinking about saying goodbye. Rachel asked if he knew what potential meant. It's a possibility, not a certain power. She calls herself a professional fairy and won't even back it up. In front of him, he noticed a bloody door. Could this really be the kitchen? He looked inside. This must be the person the commander was talking about. He was greeted by the chief cook of the demon army named Kulkan. He asked what this person had come here for. Hyun-suk wanted to know if he could get something to snack on for the bobo. Fresh meat, if possible. Kulkan realized that the caretaker had changed again. He wouldn't give this guy food. Kulkan wondered why he had to help him at all. Commander Hemis's only orders were not to raise a hand on him. In that case, the protagonist asked about another way to get food. She is for the bobo, after all. If he really needs meat, he should get it himself by hunting like these goblins. They didn't understand why this meat was so bland. It was so tasty compared to how it looked. These guys look more like butchers than cooks. And what did those words about him having to hunt on his own even mean? And how he even ended up in this position in the first place? The demons were screaming that this was his dinner for tonight. That pig had killed a Morin. They call it hunting. But all that thing does is rush forward relentlessly. Hyun-suk can't figure out who should be dinner like that. Rachel asks the hero what they should do now. Perhaps they should just run away. Hyun-seok asks if she really thinks he can run away from such a big crowd. But she's right. The guy himself realizes he's in danger. We need to move. Someone addressed the man, and the guy immediately said he would go next. The chef replies that there is no need for that. The hunt was already over, and after all, he thought, they had mindlessly jumped him. How did they even do that? Progress report. 12 dead and many injured. The damage was too great. It was amazing. They'll be looking for the next prey after a short break. The chef just didn't care about that. He turned to Rachel, because he thought about it, and decided that running away was no longer an option. Rachel asked if he was really going to hunt monsters with them, with his just awful stats. The guy asked why he would do that. Stats only increase as you level up. That means he just needs experience to level up, Rachel asked. But where would he find experience in that situation? At that moment, he said that he would still get experience if he only struck the last blow. That was indeed true, but she didn't know how she should respond to that. He thanked her for answering his question. He doesn't have many options. He just had to get stronger during this month if the commander said seriously. He turned to the chef. Kulkan grimaced as he thought the man had escaped. He would never do such a thing. Did this demon know he'd been thinking about it all along? The guy was thinking about joining the next hunt as part of the army of brave demons. Hyun-suk can't just sit idle because he's human. He was a bit tense about this human. Had the main character crossed the line? Reborn liked it when he did that. Kulkan liked it too. All thanks to the awesome chef. In that case, he would lead the next hunt. Leader is the most honorable position for them. They usually don't allow newcomers to be ringleaders, but this man is a special case. Hyun-suk asked how he could command in front of noble demons. The other chefs will complain if he becomes a leader. To her, we ran around a goblin who reported to the chief about the monster invasion. He realized from the shouting that a herd of Urins had come. Hyun-suk asked if they were in danger. Not really, but Urin meat is unpalatable. He ordered everyone to take out their weapons. After that, he suggested to go and add Urin stew to the dinner menu. He should stay close and deliver the final blow. Rachel had made a small gift for him. Health and strength increased slightly. The duration is 3 minutes. The hero may not thank her. The protagonist hit her on the head and asked why she didn't use it before, after which he ran, for he wanted to give the final blow. One must think of a blonde, noble lady. No more and no less than 5 bunny-like children. He will protect his pension. Urun is dead. It was amazing that he had risen 4 levels in one last strike. At this rate, he would be able to reach level 20 today. The end then, Hyun-suk would become stronger. His entire body was shaking, however. He needed to make one last strike. However, he was pushed back by the protagonist and apologized as his elbow slipped. One last punch, every last blow in this world. It would all belong to him alone. Rachel asked if they were done. He noticed that this useless fairy had returned, however, he praised for a great job. They had killed all the monsters here already, and it looked like they were done chopping. And then he saw that the goblins were already eating fresh meat. The chief cook asked what he was staring at. The protagonist asked if it was possible to eat army food so easily. Kulkan explained that this part of the chef's privilege. Monster meat spoils after a while. He even asked this guy when ordinary soldiers like them would be able to taste such fresh meat. Delicious meat is what Kulkan lives for. Are they really willing to die for it? These guys don't have a union. Hyun-seok fought as a warrior, so he should eat too. He has the right to eat meat. Isn't every cook risking his life for that meat? The meat itself isn't that bad. The odor is strong, but you could call it a specialty. but it is too flavorless and you have to chew it for a very long time. If this kind of meat was sold in Korea, it wouldn't last long. They are risking their lives for this cheap meat. What if he could make a dish much better than this? Rachel wondered what he had just said. Maybe he could rule them by earning their trust. He would be the god of the kitchen. At this time, he was completely ignoring Rachel. Hyun-suk opened the hero's store. He had 70 points left after buying a Bobo toy. Need to spend it all on this skill and this item. Rachel asked what he bought. He will show those stupid demons the peak of Korean cooking. A rank F cooking skill was bought, and salt was also bought. Rachel asked if he had extra points stashed somewhere that he bought salt. Hyun-suk replied that she doesn't have a damn clue. It's better to see it once than hear it 100 times. The new flavor will excite the minds of those who try it. Here we go. A juicy meat flavor and a heady smell. In this new world, he became God. He held out the cooked meat and offered the chef a taste. Kulkin refused. After all, he was already full, so he suggested next time. Hyun-suk had put his whole soul into this meat, and he would definitely die without regrets if the chef appreciated his efforts. In the end, he decided to try a piece after all, and then he remembered where he had felt that divine flavor. When he was young, he was an introvert. Mom suggested to her sweet son to eat meat. Before doing so, he should stop by the headman's house. He was very shy, and now he had become an adult. He remembered his mom and had tears in his eyes. Hyun-suk thanked the chief for that. This meat has a shelf life of 2 days, so if he needs more, let him come. The Bobo's house. He looked inside and informed the Bobo that Daddy had come. And at that moment, the Bobo had already jumped on him. Hyun-suk immediately gave him a piece of meat. It was so delicious that he came to his senses. This little guy could eat as much as he wanted. Rachel noticed that he's just like a master. If Bobo wants more, Hyun-suk will bring some tomorrow. The system reported that Bobo's affection had increased. The required level of affection has been reached. The hero's task has been completed. 200 hero points have been earned. Everything's going swimmingly. Rachel noticed that he had already completed the quest. That's even encouraging. Hyun-suk decided to save those points for a rainy day. Now he has a bunch of savings. Rachel didn't understand why he didn't use the points since they increase his stats. 22 points are wasted. The guy doesn't even know what they're for. And all for one fool skipping basic training. Anyway, they can still catch up. A brief excursion from Rachel. The player can use bonus points to upgrade their 4 main stats: strength, stamina, agility, and mana. Settle is pretty self-explanatory. Endurance is how long he can last. Dexterity pumps reaction and speed. Mana is related to magic. Hyun-suk asked, then what about charisma? It's a hidden characteristic, so you can't pump it with bonus points, only with training. It's best to try to keep a balance between the characteristics. He didn't understand what the point was, because it was much better to invest in strength. What nonsense! That only works by itself in the beginning, and in the end it will still require mana. Even an infant knows that a mana-filled body will be much stronger than trivial muscles. After that, he distributed the bonus points. Rachel told him to open the store and find an ability called Basic Magic Control. The guy asked what that control was. It's an ability that will allow you to use basic magic. Should cost about 100 hero points. But somehow it just so happened that he didn't have that skill in the store. That's just not possible. I mean, it's the most used item in the store, and he thought that Rachel would be of some use. How could she be so useless? It's a talent. Rachel asked him what kind of injustice this was. 3 weeks later, finally level 100. It took longer than he thought at first. With each level, you have to accumulate more and more experience. He's definitely the only hero on this world who works this hard. Rachel mentioned that it's the most free title ever. I mean, she doesn't even know how many times he almost died today. She had to tell him that it usually takes 6 months to reach level 100. Rachel was just trying to be friendly. She'd asked for it. A goblin walked in to join them, informing them that the commander had sent for him. She was expecting Choi Hyun-suk, Hemis's office. She welcomed him into her office and even noticed that he had changed a bit. He even seemed to have gotten stronger. His mana had doubled. All thanks to his desire to bring the highest quality meat to the Bobo every day. However, she noticed that he had gotten stronger too quickly. Was it really all about the hero level system? Could it be that she knew he was a hero from the beginning? Being surprised like this was not something to be surprised about. She knew it from the first time she met him. She has a friend who's obsessed with heroes. Now let him think about why Hemis called him. At first, he thought about Bobo training and recent victories. But only then did he realize she was talking about the promised battle. And his hunch was correct. He surely must have remembered their agreement. Such a thing was unlikely to be forgotten. So casually she didn't understand why he was so calm, since she knew he was a hero from the beginning. Did he really think she wasn't aware of the rapid rise in levels? He better work harder if he didn't want to die. And she wanted this guy to give her a good thrill. What the audience likes best. A brilliant performance or a stunning victory. But no, it's not. It's the unexpected twists and turns of battle that gets the blood boiling. That's what she's probably thinking. Hemis will pick the one he can never beat, so he won't even have a chance of winning. And since the captain had also warned him, that means the opponent is indeed a serious one. Rachel didn't understand what they should do now. They were going to die like this. The boy tried to reassure her. He needs some time to think. The day before the fight, it's better to study the enemy. Need to realize how strong he is. After all, they only know one name. How is he even going to get information about him? There is one very interesting item in the store. It's a combat power meter. It can measure the target's strength, stamina, dexterity, and mana. However, it only shows the approximate characteristics. He uses these points to learn everything he can about the enemy. At the same time, he'll come up with a plan to win, just like in a training battle. Rachel recognized that his brain is only working in that direction. Hyun-suk mentioned that it's better than some useless creatures. We'll have to see how they work. Rachel's power is 375. However, they don't know if it's a lot or a little. Therefore, Rachel suggested that the protagonist herself be measured as well for comparison. She was trying to find out where she should look. The guy seemed to sense her bewilderment and asked if there was nothing to see. That wasn't the point. Those glasses seemed to be broken. Otherwise, how could he even be stronger than herself? Hyun-seok replied that it was probably because she was the weak one here. As recently as last month, she had 10,000. In short, these points are working. After that, he decided to check and see how strong the little Bobo kid is. Almost 47,500. They both blow the dogs away on points. Maybe it's the breed. Now he decided to check the others. Goblins should definitely be weak, but as it turned out, the others' stats were close to Hyun-seok's. Captain Bulkman arrived. The subordinates greeted the captain. Everyone with strength over 10,000 is at least a commander. After all, his opponent is also a platoon leader. And his name is Kirkin. He's an orc with the head of a pig. A platoon leader must have a strength of at least 3,000. That way he can still make a lot of money. As luck would have it, she just spotted the pig-faced orc. His power is 6,671. Those bastards are literally sending him to his death. Hero's quest. The odds of winning against a pig are close to 0. However, strength always lies in not giving up even in desperate situations. Therefore, he will be given a chance. One needs to raise his power score in a week to 3,000. As a reward, he would be given 300 hero points. The guy even wondered if the assignment came at a bad time. He was obviously being spied on. Either way, he would either die or he wouldn't. Either he or Commander Hemis will win. However, the protagonist will try to survive. The next morning, kitchen. The chef noticed his unique helmet and even asked where he got it. Hyun-seok saw that the seniors here were wearing one, so he wanted one too. I guess it's fashionable for young people right now. In any case, it didn't matter to him, so he told the guy to get ready for the hunt. But why does the cook have such a high score? It's definitely not the strength of an ordinary cook. In fact, it wasn't just the chef who was like this. It felt like all the chefs here were so strong because they were constantly fighting demonic creatures, which means that if he fights someone who's on the same level as Kirkin, he'll be able to feel that power on himself. The main character has asked for permission to fight one of the cooks. This would allow him to learn something new and be even more useful. The chef replied that Hyun-suk is already strong enough for a human, so there is no need to overwork himself. If the chef refuses, he will eat all of today's meat he cooked in one go. What a long time the cook had waited for such a hard worker. He immediately asked who this guy wanted to fight. A little later, the goblin asked what was going on. The hunt was coming up, and only then did they find out that Choi Hyun-suk was fighting Golbakum. That man is going to die today. They can't live without his meat anymore. In that case, they might as well just kill Golbakum earlier. The chief cook told those idiots to shut up. He told that demon not to kill Hyun-seok and to fight at half strength. He could barely string words together to say he understood. In that case, the fight will begin. He immediately moved to attack. It's a demon that hits by relying only on instincts. The protagonist swung his leg to attack him as well. That bastard doesn't even know how many fights Hyun-seok has won. This fight wasn't an exception either. The others didn't realize what had happened. How could that big guy lose, and why it was over so quickly? A one-punch knockout, did that really mean that guy could win? North of the Black Fortress. The Great Forest. Hyun Sok defeated an orc whose strength is twice his strength with just one punch. So the strength score is just a random number. He only needs to be a little stronger, and he would easily win the upcoming fight. The Goblin reported to the chief that a large group of Talas had been spotted up ahead. Who would have thought that they would invent their way into their territory? Hyun Sok asked if something was wrong. Talas aren't tasty. Kulkan replied that their meat isn't bad, and the marrow is a real delicacy. But Talas live in groups. They have an incredibly developed maternal instinct, so it's best not to touch the cubs. The protagonist already thought that the hunt would not be, so she offered to wrap up. But he decided that they will hunt, because their meat is quite tasty. He ordered everyone to join the attack. Talas meat would be on the menu today. They were happy to pounce on the monsters. You have to kill with one blow, and you can't let the body fluids drain out. So the protagonist apologized again and asked why it was he who got in the way. Gotta get today's experience. All the final blows would belong to him alone. And so it was already the last one. Rachel praised Mr. Hero for being so good at stealing the last blows. I can't even believe Hyun Seok went to such lengths to win. But while everything was calm, the Queen of the Talas showed up. She saw what was done to her children. The Queen was furious. The protagonist didn't realize how strong she was, since even the orcs were afraid. It was only then that he saw that her power was immeasurable. And how is it then to fight such a monster? He wanted to go to the chief and ask what they should do now. Well, only then did he see that this irresponsible scum was already telling everyone to save themselves. Some orcs tried to save themselves, but it was already too late. Someone even called out to the chief for help, also not realizing where he was running to. After that, the queen shouted loudly. The protagonist wondered if a spider could yell that loudly. Rachel told you to look back. And the man immediately turned around to see monsters coming at him. He didn't give a shit about anyone else anymore, and just decided to run away while he was still alive. All he could hear were cries for help. But the truth is, if the guy stops, even for a second, he'll die immediately. We need to get out of here as fast as possible. Even the orcs didn't want to die this way. He made his way to the cave. Hyun Seok doubted for the safety of such a cave in a place like this. Rachel had already checked everything and saw that it was empty. Truth be told, he doesn't trust her. But it's probably safer here than in the forest where he could be sneaked up on from any direction at any time. This cave is quite deep. It doesn't look like a natural one, and it's probably someone's lair. Rachel doesn't know that either, but she too has noticed that the ceilings here are high. Even the Queen of the Thalases could fit in here in one piece, which, of course, wouldn't happen. Mentally, he already knew what this place was, but to me, he wanted to admit it out loud. Even Rachel couldn't believe it, because the chief had said that Thalases didn't live here. He was thinking the same thing. I don't know if it's a spider web, which means this place is the Queen's nest. He's in a hell of a situation. We need to get out of here right now. As it turned out, there was an adult Talas here. Rachel asked the hero if they should definitely run there. Actually, Hyun Seok is a hero for the first time. How would he know that? Why did he fall now? We need to find some weapons. Then he threw an egg at her. Thanks to that, the attack stopped. Did that monster get distracted to catch what he threw? Hyun Seok asked Rachel if she understood why that monster did that. Rachel assumed that she cared about what the guy threw at her. It's round, wet, and smooth, but it looks like a Talas egg. There's nothing the damn monster can do now. His hunch really works. Now let her try to catch it. The Talas player catches the ball. It must be about the monster's physical strength. What will Choi Hyun Seok's player do now? He has a lot of choices. There are still 100 eggs here. It's a shame they're all broken already. Isn't she tired already? Yes, even he would have done a better job with this. Hyun Seok asked Rachel to serve another egg. Rachel replied that this was the last one. She then started advancing on the main character with even more rage over the broken eggs. Hyun Seok demanded that she give the buff sooner. After all, she's almost out of energy after catching the eggs. He just needs to concentrate. This was a battle he could win. This was his killing move. Heaven's reincarnation punch. He himself couldn't believe that he had actually succeeded. His level had been raised. Rachel asked Mr. Hero if he was okay. In fact, he felt like he was about to die. He wanted to finally get out of here. She could use healing magic now too, right? He put mana points into it for a reason. It's not that cool. Rachel can only stop bleeding, so she needs to be careful. Now it was time for the one to scatter the points and head back. The protagonist was glad to finally have all the stats balanced. He had no idea how it would help yet, but he would consider it a good investment for the future. Suddenly, he noticed a familiar voice that he also recognized: Choi Hyun Seok. It was the head chef who couldn't think that this guy would make it out alive. Hyun Seok asked, "And how did Chief Kulkan end up here?" While he was running, he saw this cave, so he decided to find it. They were both very lucky. But just then the guy mentioned that they were in a nest of talus. He was overjoyed. Which means all those things on the floor are talus eggs. This is where they were laid. They'd better get out of here soon. Talus eggs are a rare delicacy that the bigwigs dream about. And it's right in front of him. Hyung-seok told the chief to get a grip. They had to get out of here right now. He could have sworn that the guys chasing him were already inside the cave. And you'd have to be a squad leader to catch the queen. So this was their last meal. Let them enjoy it. There were also some survivors there who noticed the chief. Kulkin told these guys that he had already had a chance to try out the egg earlier. The protagonist wondered if this was really his last meal of his life. Not gonna happen. He hadn't even tasted the 5-course meal that his future wife would prepare. He can't just die a stupid death like that. We gotta get out of here. Hemis's office. Reborn came in to see her. He was still as dry and stern as ever. She asked if he'd been able to complete the mission. As Hemis had instructed, he was able to capture the next saint of the Holy Empire. How incredible her Reborn is. He was able to defeat a pathetic group of fanatics in just 3 weeks. Reborn replied that she was too kind. She heard someone knocking on her office. It was very bad timing. It was the Goblin with an urgent report. The cooks had gone to get the ingredients, but something had happened. Every day something happens, so why make a fuss now? This time it was much more serious. The Queen of the Talus had appeared. So at this point most of the cooks, including Chef Kulkan, were either dead or missing. Hemis asked what happened to Choi Hyun-seok. The Goblin reported that he was missing as well. Reborn clearly didn't expect to hear such news upon his return. Meanwhile, these demons decided to drink to their deaths. The chief cook felt it was only right that they should drink. He had already proposed to his faithful comrades to meet in the Valhalla. Just then a fellow struck him. He demanded that the chief cook get a grip. Kulkan asked what the hell he was even doing. Apparently he got hit by some kind of spell, so Hyun-seok awakened him with his secret weapon. The new item is an encyclopedia of demonic creatures. Contains all information about all magical creatures. Talas, a spider-like demonic creature that lives in groups and also has powerful paws. To overpower a Talas, you must aim for its weak points, its body and head. The bodily fluids secreted by the Talas are easily ignited, and its eggs contain a flammable liquid with an explosive power similar to a bomb. Talas cover their caves with saliva, so you should be careful with fire in them. Don't use flame magic. So here he was wondering if Chief Kulkan happened to possess fire. As it turns out, he possesses fire, but can only leave wisps of flame. This guy should have given up by now. The Talus shell won't take his magic. It doesn't really matter. He doesn't plan on burning anything. He's turned the survivors' attention to himself. The protagonist knows how they can get out of here. They need to survive to eat as much as they want after all. However, the others realize that he was trying for nothing. If they get out of here, Choi Hyun-seok would provide them with unlimited amounts of premium quality demonic creature meat in honor of them surviving. After they heard that speech, they immediately wanted to get out of here. If you want to enjoy the food, you have to survive first. Even the chef cheered up and asked what the plan was. It really worked. A little later, he explained the plan to them and told them that from now on, they should only follow this plan. They would run without a break until they were outside. In that case, it was time to execute their plan. There's a bunch of Talas right on the course. The protagonist told the chef to get ready. The Talas turned their attention to the flames. Rachel noticed them climbing the walls and asked what they had done. If the fire spread through the cave and it collapsed, the remaining eggs would just be gone. So he had purposely put some eggs deeper. Now they should run while they are distracted and not stop. They should throw eggs to distract them. The most important thing is to survive. There is one last egg left. We need to find a way out before they throw it. Rachel called Mr. Hero's attention to the fact that there was a light next. Hyun-seok shouted that there was a way out. He just needed to hold on just a little longer. He ran to the light, hoping that they were now saved. Then his hope was abruptly cut short. The Queen of the Talus appeared. She noticed the egg in the protagonist's hand and was immediately furious. Even the head chef thought that it was really the end of them now that the Queen herself had come. However, Hyun-seok refused to believe it. She had already spotted them, so he didn't understand why she hadn't attacked. There had to be a reason. He raised the egg above him and asked the chef to borrow a flame. The Queen can see the last egg perfectly well. If it explodes, everyone will die. The cave will collapse and the others will die. So let her get out of the way. He asked her humanly, or they'll all die here. Clearly she wasn't going to give in to his provocation. I mean, he did tell that bastard monster to get the hell out of here. The Queen didn't think to listen to what this guy was saying. Rachel asked Mr. Hero what they should do now. He really had no idea. However, the main character threw the egg deep into the cave. The burning egg hit right into the wall of the cave. The cave began to collapse. Hyun-suk shouted for everyone to run out. Just as he was about to finish his sentence about how they needed to get out, the talus were crushed by rocks. His level had been raised. Rachel didn't understand why he was still standing there. This place was going to collapse now, so they had to get out. Another monster was crushed. His level was raised again. A lot of system notifications about the level increase started popping up in front of his eyes. What the hell is even going on here? Did all the talus that died from the collapse bring him experience? And now, such an event had happened because of some little bomb out there. He decided to forget about it for now, because he needed to finally get out of here. The guy asked if Rachel could give him some kind of buff. Well, he finally said it. The buff is on its way. He's managed to deal with the talus, but there's still some way to get out, and the queen has sealed off the entrance. We have to distract her. At that moment, the chief cook turned to the great queen. In his hand was an egg. Kulkin was proposing a trade. He would give her the egg and she would release him. This was the perfect moment for him to get out of the damn cave. He must survive at all costs. The queen spat, and thanks to that, she wrapped a web around his arm. This really was the end. At that moment, Reedrun appeared there and asked Choi Hyun-seok if he was okay. The guy clearly didn't expect to see Reedrun here. He just knew what Hyun-seok wouldn't die for. This queen, on the other hand, he would deal with on his own. With just one move, the queen was defeated. That was pretty damn cool. The Demon King's army of cooks, 105 creatures in all. 6 survived. Dead and missing 99 creatures, including Chef Kulkin. The fortress, Bobo's room. What a big good boy. Hyun-seok came back from the otherworld to see him. They were all awfully lucky to get out of the otherworld alive. Thank you, cowhead. Hyun-seok replied that let him enjoy this idol while he can. They might get killed soon. Rachel asked why that is. It's just beginning, right? But he'd already been pumped. It was thanks to the cave collapse of the cave. He was able to raise as much as 75 levels at one time. Plus, he had 200 hero points. Rachel thought that it was somehow a little low. It's natural since his opponent has 6,000 combat power, and the protagonist only has 3.5. Rachel's quiz. She asked if he would be as strong as his opponents if he earned 6,000 units of combat power. It's not just about that, is it? It's not only strength that matters, but also magic. If he wanted to overpower the enemy, he needed to use magic. That's easy for her to say. It's not like she's being sent to her death. Well, he's already done magic, in the Talus Lair. Though she agreed that it was a little hard to call it magic. Could it be that the power he'd suddenly felt was magic? Mr. Reedrun entered the room, but the protagonist asked what fate had brought him to them. Reedrun replied that he needed to meet with the commander, Hemis' office. She herself was curious to know what had brought Reedrun here. The phrase personnel file sounded very ambiguous coming out of his mouth. It didn't sound like him. He demanded that the commander let him personally train Hyun-seok in combat. Hemis asked why he suddenly wanted to do that. Kirkin is currently a platoon commander, but Reedrun thinks he will be promoted to the rank of deputy battalion commander in the near future. In that case, Hyun-seok will lose. However, this man has great potential. Reedrun wants to see for himself what he can achieve. What the hell is going on in his head? There's no way she'd ever agree to that request. But as it happens, Hemis even agreed to it gladly. If that was all he wanted to discuss with her, he could go. She still had a job to do. Hyun-seok sincerely thanked after the commander for her generosity. Since the last time she saw Hyun-seok, his strength had doubled. It's kind of amusing to her to watch a human being grow so fast and irritable. At this rate, Kirkin will lose if Reedrun helps Choi Hyun-seok. Looks like she'll have to personally equalize their chances. This is Reedrun's training ground. Hyun-seok was surprised at such a large area for one demon. Hemis apparently adores him. Choi Hyun-seok has a huge amount of mana, but he doesn't know how to use it. This guy is also increasing his strength too fast. It seems like a good idea to start training with the basics, but the battle is already in 4. The time is too short. That means there's only one thing left to do. Pain is also part of personal growth. Hyun-seok better not relax. That demon must be out of his mind. He said he's going to train him, but he just attacked him with his fists. Reedrun told him to focus. He'll die if he can't block those attacks with his mana. Young-suk tried to stop him. Fortunately, he managed to put up a block with his hand in time. That punch caused the guy to pull back a bit. That's quite strange. This person doesn't have much strength in his body, but in terms of reaction and ability to see, he's not inferior to a well-trained knight. He has a special fortitude. The fact that he couldn't block Hyun-suk's punch in the beginning is a mismatch. He has an incredibly developed sense of battle. Reedrun wanted to trust his gut. This guy had made a bet with the commander, but without mana, it's impossible to defeat Kirkin. Therefore, it was better to die here and now than to disgrace himself in front of everyone. Reborn is serious. If Hyun-seok misses one more hit, it will cost him his life. And he hasn't even gotten married yet. He hasn't touched his unborn child. He attacked the protagonist by shouting his name. He either blocks the blow or he dies. He even prayed to God to survive. Rachel tried to bring him to his senses. Reborn noticed that this guy had gotten his mana under control. He should have noticed it himself after all. God had answered his prayers after all. If he kept this up, victory would be in his pocket. Reborn told him not to move because he wanted to heal him. Only then did he begin to feel a terrible pain, like he was suffocating. Only then did he realize that he had forgotten that dark mana is like poison to humans. But Hyun-seok is a human being. He lifted the protagonist Yang hands and apologized. Reborn asked him to hold on for just one more second. The forces that shape this world are in constant battle. Dark mana neutralizes ordinary mana. Ordinary mana neutralizes divine power. Divine power neutralizes dark mana. Ordinary mana belongs to humans, and dark mana belongs to demons. Divine power is bestowed upon the servants of a god. Once the Church of Thusis, with the largest flock, started a revolutionary war and took control of the other religions. They are now the divine empire of Gathrin. After a time, the empire chose one that could hear the voice of a god, and they began to treat her as a saint. They say the next saint is imprisoned in this room. The next saint of the divine empire, captured by an army of demons, Evelyn Marriott. But she hasn't prayed for days. Therefore, the goblins didn't understand if she was definitely a saint. Mr. Reborn couldn't be wrong. What's the point of offering prayers to a god? It was better to be here than in that church. Reborn ran into the room, trying to wake the saint. Evelyn replied that that was rude. Isn't he ashamed to barge into a lady's chambers so easily? She needed to heal this man. Her head was splitting. What had that asshole even done to him? Definitely can't die holding a man's hand before he dies. It should have at least been Rachel's hand. But as soon as he woke up, he saw the white-haired hottie in front of him. It was like he'd died again and been transported somewhere. For what sins were they doing this to him? He would never forgive that angel. He should have been an archmage by the age of 30. It's so unfair. He even asked for Rachel to be sent to burn in hell. She's the ultimate demon. And he still has one more wish before he's reborn. Since she's going to make him a hero again, the guy asked for her to marry him beforehand. And suddenly the saint called him a disgrace. He was immediately lifted up by Reborn. He was glad that the guy woke up. And the protagonist replied that he was killing him again. How come he didn't die? It turns out this girl is real, and he said all this in front of her. Reborn asked the saint if he was completely healed. Evelyn replied that he wasn't completely. Perhaps he had already noticed it himself. The dark mana was still in his body. She was clueless as to what had happened to him. Couldn't it be destroyed by divine power? The saint explained that if something went wrong, he would die. So it was best to just wait. Eventually, the dark mana would leave his body on its own. Reborn apologized to Hyun-seok again. He would repay him with training and growth. He had already offered to continue. Hyun-seok pointed out that he shouldn't treat such an inferior creature so well. However, Reborn dragged the guy to practice anyway. Evelyn couldn't believe a demon training a human. Who on earth was this man? Hyun-seok thanked the Bobo. He heard that this dog destroyed his house and ate the soldier who came to feed him. The main character thanked the Bobo for taking him out. If Bobo hadn't been so worried about him, Hyun-seok would still be in that hell. How much bullying, so much suffering. There was still some dark mana left inside. Still, he hoped it wasn't such a big problem. He asked Rachel if he was going to die, and Rachel cried because her hero had been defiled. Now he's dirty and unclean. Actually, it's the guy who should be crying here. It was her fault that he now had dark mana in his body, and the fact that he almost died, all because she's a demon with an angel face, and a crazy maniac that deserved to burn in hell. Hyun-seok said it was a joke. There are no more cool angels like her. However, Rachel didn't want to listen to him. How is he supposed to comfort her now? It would drive him crazy. 3 days later. Saint will cure him if he's done with the training already. Hyun-seok replied that she was beautiful as always. She felt really bad hearing such compliments from him. He apologized right away. Hyun-seok wanted to ask a favor before the fight tomorrow. It would be nice if she prayed for him. He also asked that she come out and watch him fight. The day of the battle, the big arena. The demons thought it was silly that a human was going to fight a commander. The leading man in this battle is called Zack. What a marvelous atmosphere. Hemis asked him who would win this fight. Reborn, of course, was sure that Hyun-seok would be the one to win. He tried very hard all this time give her talent. He has an extraordinary one. Hemis offered to make a bet. If Choi Hyun-seok wins, he can continue to train this guy. The same would happen if this guy loses. Hemis noticed that he seemed to be confident that he would win. If he loses, Reborn will have to personally kill him. Such was the responsibility of the words spoken. He understood. It had been a long time since she'd had this much fun. Zack decided to introduce tonight's fighters to the audience. A man dared to challenge the commander. Hyun-seok is in his best form, so he wasn't even nervous. He had a new ability, a new skill, mana control, and raid runner style. Therefore, he is much stronger than before. Reborn's fighting styles. The martial art is based on the Cowden dueling arts, passed down from generation to generation, and consists of 10 different forms. The skill's proficiency level is 8%. He has to win this fight, and go on a date with the white-haired saint. Rachel asked Mr. Hero what he was even thinking, and the one who will punish Choi Hyun-seok for his arrogance. Fighter Kirkin. It certainly seemed like it to the guy, but he must have changed sensitively. Reborn had noticed too. There was no turning back now. His power was already 10,573. His power had increased to 10,500 in just a few days. This is cheating. Nothing is ever simple. The battle has already begun, so he should be able to handle it. He'll start with himself. One blow with that club and he's a dead man. But he's too big and his movements are predictable. We just have to stay calm and dodge, until the right opportunity presents itself. It was a direct hit. Even Kirkin was hurt by it. After that, Hyun-seok punched him in the face. He didn't even move from that punch. At that moment, Kirkin attacked the guy's arm. Fortunately, he managed to increase the distance in time. But this demon broke his left arm with just one blow. But even so, Kirkin himself looks normal. However, his movement is still predictable. In fact, he's been through more than that. There's no need to be afraid. One must remember what he has learned. In battle, it is necessary to use mana. With it, he would be able to break the ground with a single blow. The art of combat is not just about strength. In battle, tactics are extremely important, adhering to which you can kill the enemy. Reborn doesn't know where he learned his martial arts, but he can't defeat his opponent with this knowledge. After all, Hyun-seok doesn't want to kill him. Without the intention to kill his opponent, his attacks are meaningless. So he remembered. It's important to want to kill, no matter who stands in front of him. Reborn's fighting style, first form, instant destruction, all rent in the dust. The saint was also curious to see who won. Kirkin is dead. It was the weak man Choi Hyun-seok who won. That fucking skill would finish him off if he used it twice. Rachel was glad that Mr. Hero was able to do that. He had struck at the heart of it, and he himself couldn't believe he'd actually won. But it was nowhere near as easy as he thought it would be. Kirkin rises again. It's a real miracle. What did the commander even do to that monster? Reborn realized that she shared her dark mana and put an immortality curse on him. What was the commander even thinking about? He had mastered martial arts in such a short time. What an incredible talent. She didn't expect anything less. Hyun-seok asked if he was alive. Rachel replied that he wasn't. However, that demon was moving because of the curse. Its effects should be over soon. As soon as the protagonist noticed that he wanted to attack in the same way, she thought it was too easy. He tried to move away, but there were already rocks behind him. Kirkin grabbed him by the throat and wanted to strike again. He grabbed at it with his hands and talking about letting this demon finally die already. The guy was already thinking that he would be able to do something against him after all, but it was nowhere near as simple as he thought it would be. When the protagonist almost died, he felt much the same way. Like all his bones were shattering. Then he heard a voice. It was a saint telling him to get up. He immediately looked at her and read her lips for what he could win. She is telling the truth. He can't give up the victory. He can't embarrass himself in front of the girl he asked out. Since his bones are broken, he'll just cover them with mana like armor. The system reported that his mana control level had increased from F to E. And then the level went from E to D again. He jumped and asked the saint to go out with him. After that, he struck his opponent, wishing him dead. This strike seemed to have an unexpected effect on him. Instant annihilation could shake the earth due to the pressure. In addition, Hyun-seok centered all that pressure on his head. It really seems to be working. Hemis wondered if he taught that to that guy too. However, Reborn had never seen something like that. Date: 2 days and 1 night with dinner in a hotel. If what he says is true, then we should be careful. I mean, this guy's a real monster. Heroes in the demon army. Choi Hyun-seok reminds her of one hateful person. The fun will pass. He woke up again with a scream. Hyun-seok asked where he was. Rachel replied that they are at home. The guy asked what about the fight and his experience. He won. The saint healed the guy and left. And he urgently wanted to look at his characteristics. Rachel replied that she could have healed him too. But Hyun-seok completely ignored her. She could have healed him too. Besides, mana control already has a new rank. Rachel was surprised and wondered if such a fast growth was possible. There she goes again, screaming for no reason. Her reaction was quite obvious, because mana control is the hardest to develop. It was natural for her to react in a similar manner. He also noticed a note beside him, Evelson's place of imprisonment. She had acted strangely. But he's weird too. In just 3 days he had learned how to work with mana. He also learned the art of combat. A knight would have taken at least a month to do all that. A normal person can't do that, especially not a normal person. He has great latent potential, and yet he's even too strange. Perhaps God has answered her prayers, or maybe it's the man's talent. It doesn't matter anymore. By winning this fight, Hyun-seok changed his destiny. Perhaps he was the hope she was looking for. She knocked on the door, and the demon asked what the saint wanted. Evelson had a request. She wanted to take a walk. She wanted to see with her own eyes if he would be the one to turn the world upside down. Meet me on the patio after sundown. It was a letter from Evelson. It was also an explicit invitation to a date. As he walked, he said something about a real date. So what should he do now? Should he ask for her number? I don't know what number we're talking about. They'll probably be pen pals. At first, sick of all the listening, and she told him to just go back to his shitty room. He always ignores her words, after all. At that moment, he saw that Ms. Evelson had already come in with 2 demons. The guy wondered who it was next to her. Evelson replied that it was her escort. She can't go out alone. That makes sense. After all, she is a saint for being captured by an army of demons. What did he even expect? Evelson suggested a walk. He was already all nervous, and because of the constant surveillance, he doesn't even know what to talk about. Saint immediately asked if he was a hero. Hyun-seok wondered how she was able to find out. As it turns out, in this world, only heroes have black hair and demons. Also, a hero gets stronger quickly. Anyway, it seemed to her that this guy had a lot of questions. So let him ask while he had the chance. He immediately inquired if a man like himself was suitable for her. Who would have thought he was so hopeless? At that moment, Reborn, who was looking for Hyun-seok, came running in there. The mood was ruined. As it turned out, Hyun-seok wanted to see the commander. The protagonist wanted to go a little later. How can you even trust this man? She really enjoyed watching Choi Hyun-seok fight. Seeing how he avoided death every time, you could even say that he was keeping up well. Plus, this guy has to remember the terms of the deal. He fights the opponent the mistress chooses for him, and in return, she gives him protection. Hemis replied that there was something else in there, namely that he becomes her subordinate. If truth be told, she was joking at the time. She just thought he would die rather quickly. However, things were different now. Reborn said that this guy had talent and could become the commander of the demon army. So this time they will try something new instead of dueling. You can't put such an exceptional person as an ordinary commander. As he might know, the kitchen had recently suffered crushing losses. Thus there was a serious disruption in the meat supply by the leader. They would probably start eating each other soon. The boy wondered why on earth she was telling him this. From now on, he would be the company commander. To be more precise, the commander of the company of cooks. Therefore, the work in the kitchen should be set up the day after tomorrow. She was sure he would be able to handle it. He would do his best. Rachel was angry because now it was no longer her hero, but the company commander of the Demon King's army. He must be happy that he has achieved such success. He's going to die of happiness right now. Looks like she's still mad at him. There's nothing wrong with doing what you want to do. Now it's time to get down to business. The protagonist turned to Wuradok, asking what he was doing. He heard him being called a freak. It seems the slave grilling meat has gone completely insane. This brat is obviously wrong. From now on, they should call him boss. He called everyone here immediately. The average combat strength of a company of cooks is around 2,000. The strongest one has 3,500. Still, why are there so few of them? Weren't there 300 of them? And now it's even less than 20 demons. But he must do it, or the commander would just kill him. He told those demons who knew him to raise their hands. Some called him Choi Hyun Stoy. Some called him a barbecue machine. And someone called him a tasty man. And for that, the latter was punished. Now he's their boss. Those dumb bastards should memorize what he says. That was his first order. From now on, everyone must treat him like a god. And someone has to tell him why there are so few cooks left. The demons said that they went hunting and were killed by demonic beasts. That's not surprising. They're always the first to attack. There was nothing to be done about it, even if Kirkin was gone. He had one last question. Who is the best cook here? It's Gollum. At that moment, the protagonist appointed him vice captain. No one had an objection. In that case, they are dismissed. There must be at least 200 cooks in the kitchen. It's impossible to gather that many in 24 hours. There is only one way, the next day. And that way is the Bobo. Rachel wondered if he was trying to intimidate them by using a pet. It's just plan B. There is only one stipulation in choosing the cooks: taking bastard children who are easy to replace and who can never rebel against him. Here, he found another demon with the power of 1,931. This warthog would become a chef. The demon was surprised to be called that. He already wanted to eat this insolent man, just as suddenly the guy hit him. That bastard better shut up right now. For today, he was the first one to do so. Maybe the wart understands what that means. The most important thing in the army is position. If he joined now, there wouldn't be many bosses standing over him. So he should go and bring some junior demons to be beaten, instead of himself. If he brings 5, they will be beaten 10 times in the future, and he would only be beaten once. This was the so-called Plan A pyramid, the commander of the 3rd Battalion of the Demon King's army. Doris. It was so peaceful, and this delicious dish added even more peace. A subordinate rushed over to him and informed the commander that they had a problem. Doris said to behave a little more calmly and asked what was up. Most of their battalion members had left. Doris asked if they had deserted. It's not like they have nothing else to do but serve him. That wasn't the point. They all joined the cooks. The new chief cook is a man that Commander Hemis holds dear. He just needs to tell those that they should be more careful next time. And it's about time this topic was closed. But you can't just leave it at that. They had already taken 200 soldiers away from their battalion. Rachel happily informed Mr. Hero that they had already collected over 200 demons. That's what intelligence means. This amount should be enough. In that case, we can stop recruiting. Just then, he noticed Doris coming to them. The protagonist does not know what the matter is, but that demon is clearly dissatisfied. As it turns out, these glasses cannot show combat power above 50,000. If you use them too much, they can malfunction. No wonder. That only means one thing. We should leave as soon as possible. Doris was looking for Choi Hyun-seok, who is Bobo's servant. Bobo gave him away. The protagonist immediately stopped, changed direction, and asked what happened. The 3rd Battalion commander gave his name. What he was curious about was what the man was thinking when he took his subordinates away. What a bunch of bastards. They just brought their bros from the squad. The commander took this man to talk in his office, and he thought it was going so well. So he didn't do it on purpose. Hyung-seok had chosen the bravest, and they all happened to be part of the great 3rd Battalion. The commander likes that man, so it's better to handle things peacefully. In that case, there's nothing to be done. He can take the ones he chose and use them for their intended purpose. He was immediately glad when he heard those words. What a kind demon this demon is. However, he has conditions. At that moment, Hyun-seok wanted to give him a good punch. He wanted this guy to take on another subordinate. That was unexpected. It smells like a clear pig. Doris asked if he didn't want to do it, after he dared to take his own soldiers. He was actually very happy. In that case, it's settled, and now they should be introduced. This is Usaru, a charming hybrid from the union of an ogre and an orc. His power was immeasurable. Although he is stupid, Usaru is strong, so he can be used. Usaru has a headache. Choi Hyun-seok decided to introduce himself once again. He's the person in charge of the Bobo and the new chef. They finally got to see the Bobo. Meanwhile, the main character bribed for his pet. What a good boy he is. And now they have to reorganize. Hyun-seok has prepared a new lineup list. They should peruse this list and line up the assignment accordingly. Rachel was surprised that he even prepared a list. She wondered what criteria he used to choose. Their intelligence level was about the same, so he was pushing back on combat power. He assigned weaklings and those with a lot of cooking experience to work in the kitchen. That's genius. They're finally done. The right squad would be the cooks and the left fighters. He hoped no one had gotten anything wrong. If they'd gotten in the wrong place, now would be a good time to get back where they belonged. He turned to the chief, talking about how he wanted to hunt too. He wanted to eat fresh, just caught meat right away. What a headache. He asked this little subordinate to come over here. As soon as he approached, the protagonist gave him an entrance exam. The goblin cried because his future was ruined. He didn't make it through. Failure. With excellent leadership and commander skills, he was able to reorganize and balance the squad. Charisma latent ability level increased. Leadership ability level increased. Hyun-seok asked if there were still people who wanted to change the squad. Since everything is settled, it's now time for the hunt. The battle squad must get their weapons out. North of the Black Fortress, the Great Forest. The forest is especially quiet today. Not a single demonic creature on the horizon. Rachel assumed it was because of the Bobos or Usaru. Perhaps they had scared everyone away with their mere presence. It was indeed quite possible. Those two are the best soldiers. They can't be left behind. Rachel offered to make a decoy. Hyun-seok replied that if they had meat, he wouldn't be in such a hurry to go hunting. In that case, another bait is needed. For example, those who attracted demonic creatures all the way here, who raised this child in the first place. He told numbers 14, 3, 1, 43, and 7 to step forward. Rachel asked, "And how did he pick the numbers this time?" "He actually just dictated the number of his lottery ticket that he left on the ground." "What if he won then?" In short, they could begin. The guy ordered Uzar to grab number 14. The goblin asked if the chief had lost his mind. Intercontinental ballistic goblin. If they cast the weaklings as bait, it would definitely attract the attention of the beasts. Now they need to light a fire so their lost comrades can see the smoke and return. Rachel asked if they wouldn't die from such a throw. 1 in 6 would definitely come back, he thought. No breaks for Uzaru. He must keep throwing. The demons were shaking, for they realized that this man was just crazy. And they wanted to live a long life after all. They had better avoid it now. But there was already a Bobo behind him. He immediately began to explain to the Bobo-san that this was not what he thought. The goblin would dedicate his entire life to the Demon King's army. He could only hear cries for help. They are late. It was about time for those they had sent first to return. And there was the goblin running for help. The plan had worked after all. Hyun-seok was glad to have him back, so he decided to leave it up to the soldiers. Afterward, he just has to finish them off. And then suddenly, it was rushed into the battle by Uzaru. Uzaru ran screaming that he loves to fight. Absolutely no profit. All the monsters are flattened. Even as meat, these scraps are no good. Bobo and Uzaru had dealt with almost all the monsters with a single blow. She now realized that she would need to go back tomorrow without those two. Rachel replied that they only had 1 day left, so she asked if he was sure of his decision. Either way, he ordered to go back. They would be back here early tomorrow morning. Kitchen. Rachel asked why he had come here. Need to check on her to see if they could use the flattened meat somehow. He walked in on his foot and asked the bums where they were hanging around. Hands on their feet and quickly report to the chief. The demon immediately ran up to the chief and asked what was wrong. Hyun-seok asked if they got the meat that was obtained from the hunt today. Gollum, the sous-chef, replied that they got the meat, but its condition is a little off. Hyun-seok replied that true warriors are required to be able to do everything. He better remember that. He has experience with the watering kitchen, but he has no idea what to do with the mincemeat. Gollum explained that his main job back then was to guard the ingredients. And unless he was the battalion commander's personal cook, real cooking could only be dreamed of. Unless they asked him to fry meat, Now the protagonist realized everything and told this demon to leave. Golem told the others to start a fire. It turns out that everyone younger than the battalion commander is eating bland food. But if he played his cards right, things would get a lot easier than he'd anticipated. Hyun-seok walked over to Mrs. Evelson. She told Mr. Hero to pass. He greeted the saint and said that he came to check on her. It was only then that Rachel realized it was all an excuse to see this woman. She wondered why they'd gone into the kitchen. She probably hadn't had dinner yet. Thanks to the saint's support, he was able to win the final match. So as a token of his appreciation, he would like to treat her. Evelson thanked him for it. It smelled even better than she expected. As soon as she tasted a bite, she realized that it was really good. Much better than what she was eating now. Such an amazing and bright flavor. Judging by the empty plate, she really enjoyed it. Anyway, it was time for him to leave. Saint stopped him. Evelson wondered what he was going to do when he left this place. He's actually going to get married. That was clearly not the answer she was going to hear. The girl replied that he could go. In fact, there was one more thing he would like to do. But right now, he was wondering what gripes he had about it. What she was going to do when she left here. She didn't really have any ideas. Even when she left this place, there was still nothing she wanted to do. The divine empire of Gathrin, the capital city of Gradium, a state ruled by the Pope of the Church of Thusis. It was reported to His Holiness that they were able to find out the location of the next saint, Evilson Marriott. They were informed that she was in the custody of the Black Fortress where your monster eater resides. And how on earth did a saint end up in such a wretched place? Had they still not heard from the Demon King? It was unclear what they were trying to accomplish by keeping the future saint captive without any demands. In the history of wars, there were only a few instances of people managing to penetrate the Black Fortress. And it only happened when the monster eater, namely Hemis, was not there. Therefore, it would be pointless to attack directly now. It would be better to send a rescue party. The Emperor of Gathrin and the Pope of the Church of Thusis, Orvan IV. ordered to send for the hero, Sir Osild. The head service didn't understand at all what the saint meant. "This place will do." Hyun-suk told the platoon leader to step forward. "Now they have to eat it." Of course, the demons were already thinking that this was some new way of bribery or he was just giving away his leftovers. Hyun-suk asked if they really didn't want to eat. They had to immediately reply that they were sitting it out. But as soon as they tasted this meat, they realized that it's really good. It was simply amazing. The three immediately swore allegiance to him and asked for another piece. Of course, he didn't agree. Now it was time to get started. Only the platoon that harvests more than the rest of the living demonic creatures will eat with him. No hunger today. Time for meatloaf. They were determined to catch the beasts. His hunch was true. Each a slave to his own stomach. The plan succeeded. The level had been raised. He simply mauled them and imperceptibly pumped up 10 levels. Charisma had increased as well. The platoon leader came up to him and asked him who had won. Hyung-suk announced that Vulcan's platoon had won. They would share a great meal with the protagonist. The rest of the demons asked what would happen to them. The boy replied that they could pick up the leftovers. Now it is necessary to take the extracted meat to the kitchen. The Black Fortress. An unknown person entered there and was killing demons. The whole floor was stained with blood. He finally made it in here. I shouldn't have told him that after all, but she was so tired of keeping it to herself forever. Just then she saw a cloaked man walk in and call her name. It was Sir Gafen who had come to free her. She guessed at once that Papa had sent him. Evelson apologized, however she would not be going back. So he'd better go. He wouldn't mind leaving, but a mission is a mission. There's nothing you can do about it. He knows this is where the monster eater lives. He knows what will happen if he tries to take her away from here. Gafen asked what would happen then. Evelson replied that she would use the saint's power, and then the devourer would surely come here. He did tell the saint that he was on a mission now, didn't he? He's not a prince now. He's a soldier. And now she'd better go to sleep. And when she opens her eyes, she will already be in the capital. Evelson didn't understand how he was using the holy power. She didn't want to go back there. At that moment, he was hit by Hyun-suk, who told that bastard to get his paws off her. He put magic into the punch even though he looks like a normal person. Gafeng wondered who he was. Moving, he's not bad compared to someone who uses magic. He did say to get his hooves away from her, didn't he? That's certainly not part of his mission. But useful materials are always in demand. So this kid will go with him as well. How these people annoyed him. Even Rachel couldn't believe that this guy was able to put down a hero with one punch. What should she do now? Maybe she should bring Bobo. Suddenly she noticed something. What is it? He didn't think it would come to this, but it looks like there's nothing to do. To bring another person with him, he'll have to do a little magic on the scroll. Suddenly there was another guest there, asking if he was in trouble. It was Hemis who offered his help. He clearly didn't expect to see the monster eater Hemis here. After all, he had blocked Evelson's holy power. She preferred the term gourmet to devourer. Gafen couldn't sense any magical energy from her. Could it be a matter of power difference? Monster eater Hemis. The story of her devouring 1,000 soldiers in one day could very well be true. In any case, she really wanted to see what her guest could do. There was no need to panic. The most important thing was to block its attacks. Once he got the chance, then he would take the saint and leave this place. Suddenly, he felt dizzy. Wasn't she still watching their fight back then? Geffen was too late. Hemis liked his handwriting. Perhaps this man would amuse her some more. Given the situation, it would be a miracle if he could get away in one piece now, albeit without a saint. Mission failed. What a shame that this guest just took off. And she did ask him for a favor, didn't she? That's okay, because the real show is just beginning. The Eater is an ancient monster and an immortal witch. That was the name of Hemis, the commander of the 3rd Corps of the Demon King's army. In the endless flow of time, demons were born and died, and only the Demon King as well as Hemis remained unshaken. Although the endless flow of time had dulled many things, such a crime is too cruel a price to pay for a long life. It still hits the forehead even with magic. It's not effective at all. He needs to be more flexible and not box himself in. Hyun-seok will take that into consideration. Besides, it doesn't matter how strong he gets. After all, there will always be someone stronger. He doesn't need to be afraid to use any method to win. This guy needs to keep in mind that a fair victory is the privilege of the truly strong. That was all for today. Reedrun praised this guy for doing a good job. Rachel appeared there and asked Mr. Hero if he was all right. In fact, he felt like he was about to die. The guy asked for healing. Finally, he could breathe in peace. Rachel was beginning to assume that to him she was simply her elixir to heal his wounds. That's all she can tell him. He must grow stronger. Only the faith that comes from within will be able to protect their Mr. Hyun-seok. Just like Madame Saint said, he needs to become stronger. He's talking about that woman again. He almost died because of that saint, witch, or whatever she is. Now someone's going to be punished by God for saying that. But that mercenary used divine power. If the girl was really a saint, she definitely wouldn't have been attacked by her own. That's really strange. The next saint seemed like it should be valuable. In any case, he decided to just forget about this incident. Rachel wondered if he really liked that woman that much. That asshole has completely lost his mind. How much jealousy does he hear? It's like he really wants to die. He better remember what kind of world he's in. After a while, it's over. May he be a cat in a rich family in his next life. Bobo is worried about that too. Rachel didn't understand what had happened to the fool again. Hemis's office, 30 minutes ago. There's a huge dilemma. Hemis was bored, so she wants to see something fun. He has 1 month before he defeats the battalion commander. Now that's something he didn't expect to hear. Hemis asked, wondering if he thought he couldn't handle it. Maybe he needs help, like he did with Kirkin. He doesn't need that. He can handle it all on his own. Rachel said Bobo can say goodbye to him now. That dog won't see him for a long time. It's time for this Mr. Hero to accept his destiny. How is he going to become a battalion commander with only 9,000 troops? Actually, he's crying here, so Rachel better not get in the way. Otherwise, he'll just kill her. The hero has certainly grown a lot, but a battalion commander, that's a whole other level. They have about 40,000 power. There's no way he can become that strong in a month. It would be great if their priceless dog could fight instead. Bobo could fight the battalion commander as an equal, or even win. But a fight implies a duel. And then an idea popped into his head as soon as he heard about fighting and dueling. Hyun-seok asked again what the commander had said. You have 1 month. Defeat the battalion commander. It wasn't about fighting, was it? It's just about defeating the opponent. Rachel wondered if he'd gotten it right. He'll just lure the commander out and essek Bobo on him. That's the only way. Rachel couldn't even understand if he was so smart or just a coward. After that, the angel wondered how he was going to lure him out. Would a person like Hyun-seok be able to interest the battalion commander? Of course he would be able to do that. He met him not too long ago. He's a real pig who loves a good meal. Let me fill this sad story of many deaths with the preparation of stewed wings, which will make the battalion commander delighted. A recipe for braised ribs. There was fleece meat. Rinse the ribs in water and honey to wash off all the blood. Once the blood is removed, put the meat in a pot and cook. After cooking, add thinly sliced mushrooms and green onions. Next, add water, sugar, soy sauce, and garlic. One must remember that garlic will weep when peeling off its skin. You need to get a good squeeze of the exquisite juices of the fermented fish. Throw all the ingredients in with the meat and bring to a boil. He's human, so why does he lack stamina? What a shame. Rachel told the hero she was on fire. And so after at least half an hour, soft and tender ribs are ready. Now we need to lay them out beautifully on a plate. On top, let's add green onions. The key to the heart of the battalion commander is ready. It's so beautiful and delicious. It's been a long time since he tasted such deliciousness. Giving it to Uzar Hyung-suk was a brilliant idea after all. He's a great guy. The subordinate informed Mr. Doris that the head chef was here. Doris asked him to tell him that he wouldn't take Uzaru back. In fact, that's not really why this guy would be here. The chef said that he had personally prepared a dish for him as a token of his gratitude. He had heard that this guy was a chef from God. Therefore, he too was curious to see just how good that person was. Hyun-seok walked in and said that he hadn't seen Mr. Doris in a long time. He even felt his heart start to pound. Doris immediately apologized for all those emotions. He was told that Hyun-seok was here to thank him. He wanted to thank the battalion commander for helping Hyun-seok get his rank in the kitchen. The guy even apologized for not thanking him earlier. There was no free time. Hyun-seok might lack skills, but he had put a piece of his heart into those beautiful braised ribs. Therefore, he really hoped that Doris would enjoy it all. He could smell that exquisite flavor. He, on the other hand, was drooling over something that he really wanted to try. It smelled really good. Because of this dish, everyone in the kitchen thought he was a god. Hyun-seok was curious to see if this pig could not be served. It was simply amazing. It's impossible to resist this dish. The flavor was unbelievable. He neighbor didn't understand how this man was able to achieve such success. Is it possible for a person to make something divine? Hyun-seok was glad that he liked everything. If Doris didn't mind, Hyun-seok would like him to be the taster of the new dishes. He would even do it gladly. In that case, he would drop by once in a while. Doris will happily wait for his next visits. No wonder the commander appreciates him so much. In any case, he'll probably go back to the kitchen. Hyun-seok said goodbye to him before running out. What an abomination. Rachel noticed that his gut wasn't thin. This was Hyun Seok's plan. He's going to fatten that pig, and when he loses his guard, Hyun Seok will stab him. A week later, for some reason Doris didn't even have an appetite today. In fact, tomorrow he has to fight to confirm his position. It seems he's become so important that people can't help but look down on him. This means that if he loses, he will lose his position as commander. However, they say that even after dying from eating, the ghost retains its charm. What a bummer. Has he been trying so hard all this week for nothing? Doris suggested the protagonist come tomorrow to watch him fight. This guy is his good luck charm. Hyun Seok agreed. He wished him victory. The next day, the day of the fight, the big arena. Rachel tried to cheer him up somehow. What if he becomes an SSS-level superboar? The guy asked if we were sure of what we were saying. He can't even walk now because Hyun Seok has been fattening him up all week. He's definitely not going to win the fight. Zack, the former lead fighter, will be replaced by Roygo today. He is the commander of the 3rd Regiment of the Demon King's army. All contestants must enter the arena. It's like he knew the stairs would be a challenge. He was very happy that his favorite mascot had come. Hyun Seok wished him good luck. Roygo didn't have much time for those assholes. Let them start this fight already. How infuriating it was. Even he had a hard time against this pig. It was a huge outburst. Hyun Seok had to hide because the shockwave would reach even here. The pain only lasted for a moment, but he was already sure who would be the winner of this fight. Roygo already knew that he was stronger than his opponent. There was no point in even commenting further. The winner of this fight was Doris. That same night, Bobo's house. Now he knows for sure that one Bobo will not be enough. Need to rethink the battle plan with the commander? He had an encyclopedia of monsters in front of him, as well as a map with their habitats. He drew it all by himself. He always uses it when he goes hunting. Based on his personal research, strong creatures like the Talus Queen dwell in their own territories. Thanks to the sacrifices of the kitchen soldiers, he was able to figure out the boundaries of their habitat. Rachel already had a rough idea of what he wanted to do. Hyun Seok drew her attention to a saying in South Korea. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Pair barbarians with barbarians. If Doris is such a strong opponent, then all he has to do is push him against even stronger monsters. 3 days later, the Great Forest. Her head is about to explode because of the fact that she learned the entire monster encyclopedia in 3 days. Hyun Seok said she should learn it in half, but she was stubborn. She didn't care anymore. She asked for the map before she threw up. The first target was about 1 kilometer from where they were. It's some kind of giant worm. It must be a Surfibian. It means forest skull in an ancient language. And then there's the Morspit and the Eustunbia. They're similar. But the Surfib is different. It's less aggressive and doesn't tend to start fights. Rachel asked for praise from this character. She's so awesome, just like a girl genius. Of course, he straight up couldn't agree more. Sometimes a fool is useful too. The demon asked the chef if he had decided on today's hunting location. Hyun Seok replied that they should go straight ahead. The guy asked about the demon that looked like a dragon with steel scales. There are a lot of those. They need a clear example to tell for sure. It looked like they were going to run into one. He informed the cook squad that they weren't catching anyone today. They must kill their own pleasure. Today they will eat the captured prey immediately as well. The demons rejoiced that the chief had finally come to his senses. Today they can eat their fill. In such a short period of time, they'd already caught so much prey. The guy was very curious about the location of the owner of this territory. They hadn't caught that much. Was everything they had done for nothing? Hyun Seok ordered everyone to lay down their weapons. After all, they were done for the day. Wolf told the others to start a fire for cooking. Suddenly, he heard something. Could it be that the one they were looking for had finally shown up? He immediately put on his glasses to check the combat power of the one who had just arrived. Rachel already knew who it was. It was a Nidrak demon. The combat power was immeasurable, as expected. The others began to scatter as soon as they saw the dragon. This was the creature they would be able to defeat Doris with. Hemis's office. She sensed that something was wrong. She was talking about Choi Hyung-suk. I haven't heard from him in 3 weeks. Maybe Reedrun taught him something. That poor guy just got scared and ran away. Reedrun replied that they had been doing the most routine training. Hemis wondered if this guy could beat Doris. Reedrun didn't know himself. He also noticed that Hyun Seok had gotten closer to him lately. She wondered if he wasn't really getting close to that pig. After all, the guy had claimed that he would defeat him, but instead, he had become friends with him. It would be very interesting to see what Choi Hyun Seok was up to. Doris's office. There was nothing tastier than meat that had been grilled. Doris thanked the man for the food. Hyun Seok sighed sadly. Doris noticed his mood and asked if something was wrong. He's in trouble. Looks like today was the last time he brings this gentleman food. Doris immediately jumped up and asked what was wrong. The guy replied that the commander wanted to taste the meat of a special monster, but it was too strong. Even after several days of continuous battle, they were unable to defeat it. The cook squad was thinning out before his eyes. He had heard that there were more and more injured cooks lately. What kind of ferocious monster is that? It's a marble monster. In fact, Doris had never heard of a marble monster. Hyun-seok asked if the commander thought the guy was lying. Doris assumed to lend this guy his soldiers, but even with 100 extra soldiers, they won't be able to handle the beast. They can if the Great Doris takes over. That monster will definitely be defeated after a few minutes. Besides, the commander would definitely recognize such a feat. He even started fantasizing about Hemis calling him a cutie instead of some pig. Since Hyun-seok is quite close to the commander, he was willing to tell her everything. In that case, Doris will help him. They are friends after all. He was very grateful to Doris for helping him. The next day, at the stipulated place, Rachel asked Mr. Hero if he remembered the map. Of course he remembers it. Literally now, he's a walking navigator. The piston guy whispered to the Bobo that they are going to catch a pig now. Uzaru should do as he says too. Bobo was clearly ready to do as Hyun-seok says. Uzaru was willing to work hard. In that case, it's time to put the plan into action. Mission Pig Hunt. Begin. In the middle of the great forest. The demons didn't know where they were going now. Even the 3rd Battalion commander is with them. The chief said to kill some powerful monster. How ugly it is outside. Doris asked the guy how much further they have to go. The protagonist replied that they are almost in the territory of the marble monster. That fatty is stronger than it looks, so they need to be careful. He took 500 soldiers with him. Nidrak shouldn't lose after all. They heard a roar. It sounds like he's getting close. He's already prepared for this battle. Now he finally saw the marble monster he must defeat. Doris thought he had seen it somewhere before. It looked like the ancient monster Nidrak. The protagonist explained that all monsters are quite similar. This is indeed true. But a monster is a monster. He and his battalion will take care of that monster. So Hyun-seok should definitely tell the commander about his feat. After which, he jumped into the attack. His movement slowed down. We have to be careful. No one should retreat. They must follow the battalion commander. He attacked it once more with a meatball strike. It was hard to admit, but at this rate, this pig would really kill the monster. Who would have thought he would use his soldiers like this? They're taking all the hits for Doris. This isn't going at all the way he planned. Doris had already decided to finish off that marble monster. A subordinate runs up to him and informs him that there is trouble. There's another monster out there. The protagonist didn't understand where another monster came from if this is Nidrak's territory. We need to retreat. It was a Surfibian. Hyun-seok didn't worry about him because he thought he was harmless. But that bastard took the turmoil here as a territorial conflict and showed up to grab a piece of it. They can't handle 2 monsters, so Doris ordered everyone to retreat. Rachel asked the Lord Hero what they should do now. They can't let Doris go like this. Looks like they'll have to take a chance. He ran up to Doris. The guy should have realized it himself. All monsters are avoided here. Reed runs fighting style. First form. Instant annihilation. Was it even his fault? Hyun-seok demanded that he rescind the order. No retreat. Everyone must fight. They must meet their brave fellow demons in the Valhalla. He felt the pain. Had he been betrayed? And some primitive little human had done this. He immediately got angry and shouted Choi Hyun-seok's name. How dare some little bug do that? Doris would risk everything, but he would kill that person. Promotion to the 2nd level, full bloom. What is that pig even doing? Rachel yelled for the Mr. Hero to run rather quickly. The protagonist asked, well, where is he even supposed to run to? He really almost died. Did that pig really have a similar skill? Doris is going to tear that man alive to pieces. That's really dangerous. Where did the Bobo and Uzaru go anyway? It looks like they got attacked by a Surfibian. That means he will have to fight this pig alone. As soon as he shouted Choi Hyun-seok's name, he suddenly started coughing up blood. Hyun-seok doesn't know what kind of skill Doris used, but it's definitely to his detriment. And since that's the case, he just needs to buy some time. He told Rachel to vividly name the cluster of monsters she showed on the map. Let her recite it by heart. We need to run a little to the left. 11 o'clock. In a straight line would be a den of war dogs. Doris wondered if this guy really thought he could escape if he tried to run. Doris kicked all sorts of small monsters out of the way that were in the way of his escape. While normally mobs avoid the strong ones, cub habitats are a different story. A human cockroach playing catch-up. He would finish this unfortunate human off at all costs. Doris used an upgrade to level 3, Falling Flowers. He will make this man behold on his own beating through the beautiful one. A level increase was a demon's strongest weapon. Just when he thought he could win this fight, he suddenly started coughing up blood again. Rachel could feel that his demonic energy was getting weaker. Had he reached his limit after being promoted to level 3? He must have expended too much energy while hunting. Hyun-suk immediately asked where he was running to. He actually hated to say such a thing himself. But as soon as Doris's strength is restored, he will immediately come for that man's head. He doesn't forget such insults. Therefore, he will do everything to kill Hyun-suk as soon as his body can recover. The main character immediately jumped on him, talking about how he can move whenever he wants. However, now was not the time to leave yet. Doris asked the stupid man. Did he really think he could defeat him with his bare hands? Hyun-suk used the read-run fighting style to do so. 7th form, Blast Wave. The guy was surprised that this pig was able to withstand against such a blow as well. Doris shouted that this fool had underestimated him. At that moment, another demon intervened in their battle. It was Hemis. She was curious to know what all the commotion in front of her own castle was about. That blast wave caused the main character to be thrown back against a tree. What had that even just been? Doris asked for the commander to save him. He hadn't lost yet, after all. This wasn't even the final battle. In response, Hemis told him to just shut his mouth. How stupid he was to be hit by a pathetic little man. They're at war with humans, after all. Hemis shudders in disgust at the thought of the likes of Dorasu being a battalion commander in wartime. Perhaps it's time to put a stop to all of this. Hyun-suk immediately rushed out of his seat. Just like the commander said, right here and right now, Hyun-suk overpowered the battalion commander. His words are really true. They had made a bet after all. In that case, they would have something to discuss. She didn't even expect the Survive to show up. Hyun-suk didn't expect it either. He didn't even think that a huge monster would come out in the middle of a battle. She was curious to see what was going on in his head that he would pull a stunt like that. Hemis even wanted to look in there once. Hyun-suk replied that there was no need to do that. He used her own words nastier than her. It was pretty sneaky. She doesn't like that kind of thing. But this guy definitely succeeded. Next time she would be more specific in giving orders. There definitely won't be a next Rose, though. If he causes trouble or uses such devious methods again, nothing good will end for him. And he himself should realize that. Dom Bobo. Once again, it was a miracle he didn't die. Who would have thought that Doris was a polymorph that was getting stronger? What the hell was that all about? It was like some special demonic art. Rachel thought it was worth asking the cowhead about it. A Bobo intervened in their conversation. He too was having a hard time with all these monsters. But after all, the commander had completely figured it out. He even felt a little sorry for Doris. He wasn't a bad pig. Rachel replied that it was the person who was saying that was the one who was taking all the experience points by stealing the last blows. Hyun-suk immediately started apologizing, saying how sorry he was. Rachel asked if that was true. Of course he was terribly sorry. Rachel replied that he could take his hand away. You can't see the smirk behind it. Now Hyun-suk wanted to check to see how much of an upgrade he had gotten. It was pretty good. What's with the squares and question mark? Could it be a system error? Rachel asked if he was hallucinating. But it was actually true. There are squares and a question mark. The hero's system can't make mistakes. Once again, he's at the bottom being bullied. Anyway, he decided to pretend they hadn't talked about it. Rachel was getting tired of talking. She wanted to test his combat power and celebrate his 48th level. Rachel put on his glasses and saw that his combat power was 13,936. He was really pumping up quite nicely like this. And just yesterday, it was like he was powerless against a mere goblin. She had been waiting for this for so long that she had prepared a surprise. Rachel wanted to stay just as strong. They would drink to the day Hyun-suk would blow the Demon King's head off. To wealth and honor. Choi Hyun-seok's daily routine looped around. No matter how much stronger he became, daily tasks should not be neglected. He even thought about stopping by Mrs. Evelson's house after practice today. He still had some questions. Reedrun noticed that this guy came a little early today. Since he had defeated Doris, the demon congratulated him. Hyun-suk was about to ask a question regarding the battle. Namely, whether he was familiar with the promotion technique. Promotion is an ancient, informal fighting style. Usually a fight is divided into two types. Formal, which involves movement, and informal, based on body or weapon changes. There are fewer different variations of the latter than the former style. The specific fighting styles are rare in themselves, and the informal ones are passed down from generation to generation even more secretly. He now recognized the difference between attacking skills and enhancement. Enhancement is an ancient skill that is passed down from generation to generation. Any demon that possesses demonic ki is capable of mastering it. However, it is quite dangerous, so few people dare to use it. The side effects are very serious. The protagonist wondered if he could master the enhancement. He seems to have some demonic ki in his body. Reborn asked, well, could such a thing be called a demonic ki? She was in his body by accident, after all. In that case, there shouldn't be any serious problems. They have Mrs. Evelson for emergencies, right? He still doesn't think this guy should bring himself to the same state. What's wrong with him? It's not like he can survive without a promotion. He only asked to do it once. If it doesn't work, Hyun Seok will back off. Just once. It's his body after all. Besides, he always accepts challenges that he's sure to win. That's why he enjoys his life, always wondering when he's going to die. And if he wins, he gets annoyed for some reason. What a boring life. Reborn agreed after all. He felt a little uneasy, but a promise is a promise. In that case, he should look at it carefully. The Divine Empire of Gathrin. The underground prison of the cathedral. He was visited by Papa, who inquired if Sir Geffen Oseld had woken up. Geffen kept wondering if Chick was behind it, but it turned out that Papa was behind it all. He's the one who said he didn't need Geffen anymore, so why is he here now? He wanted to give this man a chance to make amends. After all, everyone is equal before God. Geffen asked what he needed to do. Orvin replied that he had to get rid of Evelson Marriott. Geffen was surprised that the order had suddenly changed everything, and now he didn't have to bring her back. What at all would the death of a saint give the church? However, he doesn't need to know that. But there is a monster eater in there after all. If the guy goes there again, he will definitely die. There's no need to worry about that. Orvin will put 4 knights on him, and the monster eater won't be there. So Sir Geffen must not lose. The path to glory cannot be defeated. Evelson asked, as Hyun Seok pulled himself together. Those two have clearly lost their minds. The man was trying to practice a special technique that only demons can master. Hyun Seok said that he was fine, and since a lot of time had passed, there should have been almost no demonic kai left in his body. Evelson asked if he was a priest. How could he even decide what should and shouldn't be if he hadn't even figured it out? She blocked the demonic energy in his body. However, Reborn released it, thinking he could get it under control. The demon asked what was going to happen to him. This guy wouldn't last long like this. It was too late to shackle the demon kai. So instead she will try to force his body to accept that power. She will compress the demonic energy with divine energy to distribute it evenly. Evelson will turn it into a concentration that his body can handle. Like developing resistance to poison. Reborn wondered if such a thing was possible. She doesn't know that herself. She hasn't had the chance to do such a thing before, as it hasn't happened yet. There is a possibility that the demonic ki might not accept the divine power and rebel. However, if other options lead to an even worse outcome, then one should at least try. Once again, he woke up in his bed. It felt like he had missed a lot of things. He was immediately pounced on by Rachel and Bobo. Rachel was glad he was finally awake. Mr. Hero had slept for 3 days, but it was as if he didn't remember anything. He only remembered that he wanted to master the promotion, and then nothing. Had his soul left his body or something? As soon as he opened the characterization window, he saw demonic energy. Hemis had said that he would wake up, right? Hyun Seok immediately stood up to greet the commander. She replied that he might as well not get up. In that condition, he can probably only crawl. Reborn told her everything. He tried to use demonic kai even though he is human. So why this guy didn't want to share this fun thing with her specifically? He had a saint working on him. Looks like she's really worthy of her title. It's not bad at all. But the ending is pretty boring, and that's no fun at all. She's going to help him this time. What was it like there? He was her personal aunt, which is interesting to watch. Let him consider it a part of it. Reborn was starting to worry about this guy. Hemis reassured him, talking about how he would be fine after his nap. And now they can go back to the study for now. She's suddenly been summoned by the Demon King, so she has errands for him. A few days later, Bobo's house. She finished treating him for today. After Togo's incident with the dark mana, Mrs. Evelson came to patch him up almost every day. He was insanely grateful for her care. After all, it was her will to live that helped him not die. So he shouldn't have to thank her. Besides, he was her only hope. But he didn't hear the last sentence. She was finished with the treatment for today, so she would go. He didn't understand at all what she meant when she starts telling me things like that. So many questions and so few answers. In this world, he is a common stranger. So the only thing left to do is to wait for her to tell him herself someday. This guy keeps asking him to do so Reborn will teach him the theory of dark mana control. But Hyun Seok shouldn't overexert himself. It's okay. because it's already been 3 days since he woke up. He was told that nothing would happen if he didn't use energy. Mrs. Hemis left just 3 days ago. The gathering at the Demon King's castle is an annual event, but for some reason he had a bad feeling this time. Hyun Seok tried to bring this demon to his senses, for he didn't respond at all. Reedrun apologized and also mentioned that he was distracted. The protagonist realized that he had a lot of things piled up on him lately in the absence of his commander. So Hyun Seok asked if there was anything he could do to help. It's okay, because the commander will be back soon. It's just that she was called earlier this year, so there's not much difference. Hyun Seok shouldn't worry about him. He should just focus on taking care of himself. The protagonist will do as Reedrun orders. Hyun Seok is getting stronger every day, and his body must be developing quite well thanks to the dark mana. Once he learns how to control it, he will grow considerably. Suddenly he felt a divine power. He immediately stood up and Hyun Seok wondered what was wrong. He felt an unfamiliar divine power, and it wasn't a saint. They've got an intruder. Reedrun Sam would check it out, so he told the guy to wait here. It was surprisingly easy to get in. Perhaps it's because there's no devourer inside. Giffen told them to keep their voices down. Even if there isn't one, there is another monster in this castle that was nicknamed the Red Nightmare. At that moment, Reedrun appeared there. He asked that person how he knew that Miss Hemis was absent. That was the so-called Red Nightmare. Giffen ordered Lucas and Nell to go after the saint, while he and Orca would deal with the Red Nightmare. They came for Evelson. Her room is not far away. Overpowering 4 people wouldn't be difficult, but they split up. So what should he do now? The main character came running to him, saying he had come to help. Reedrun told him not to follow him. Rather should be thanked, though. He informed Hyun Seok that these people had come for the saint. The demon said to take her to a safe place. He should take that necklace with him. Hyun Seok asked what he should do with it. Reedrun explained that he should use that necklace as proof to gather the high-ranking officers, after which he was about to run away. Giffen ordered to stop that guy. Reedrun told that man that he couldn't take the saint without the permission of Commander Hemis. Reedrun's fighting style. 7th form, Blast Wave. Rachel couldn't believe he was given a new quest in a situation like this. Hyun Seok asked how much longer he had to do it again. Hero's quest. The weaklings came to kill Evelson Marriott. It's his duty as a hero to protect the Holy One. And who knows, maybe overcoming danger together will allow love to blossom. He'll be rewarded with 1,000 hero points. Why do these weak men want to kill her mistress? And why the reward is so huge? What the hell is going on anyway? He immediately burst into the saint's room talking about how they need to escape. They were attacked by men. Evelson asked what he was talking about. He's not privy to the details, but it seems to be the same assholes to have been here last time. Already there were intruders nearby. The demons followed Mr. Reedrun's order and did not let the enemy go any further. He told the man to take the saint and run away from here. He lifted her in his arms, for which he apologized. The conference room of the 3rd Corps headquarters of the Demon King's army. He assumed that Doris would lose favor with Commander Hemis sooner or later. Well, how dumb do you have to be to lose to some human there? The commander of the 3rd Regiment of the Demon King's army. Roygo. Hemis hoped that everything would be fine in her absence. Royfogo wondered, and why him? It looked like they had discussed everything, and the meeting could end there. Orders were followed afterward. A subordinate rushed in to give an urgent report. Roygo asked what was wrong. The chief cook who had Mr. Reedrun's necklace was here. He says that people have attacked the castle and want to kill the saint. What the hell is going on? Hyun Seok finally found the regimental commander. Roygo demanded that he explain everything in detail. First, Mr. Reedrun suddenly felt a divine power, and when he came out, it turned out that people had broken into the castle with the intention of killing the saint. Roygo didn't understand why people would want to kill her. He told the guy to take a deep breath and try to calm down, and just as he was about to say something else, he suddenly shouted for everyone to get down. They're under attack. We need to light the signal lights right away. He said to protect the saint because they obviously need her. This doesn't make any sense. I wonder if people are really trying to kill the saint. Roygo used the restraints, but that was too far. Got on hero, used the Reedrun fighting style. 7th form, Blast Wave. He'll protect Mrs. Evelson. Poor Orca. How foolish of Giffen to lose a loyal friend. Reedrun realized that the man was using his comrade as a shield, which is to be expected. He is strong. Even considering the fact that divine and demonic power are natural enemies, this man is at least at the level of a unit commander. Is this really the power of those people who are worshipped as heroes? So the Red Nightmare that keeps the entire Drasen in fear turned out to be a very ordinary demon. This man knows full well that he's going to lose, and yet he's still having fun. And why wouldn't he be? Without the Devourer, all this fortress has is a code red, which means he just needs to stall for time while his comrades easily massacre the low-level pigs. This person was sure that Miss Hemis was not here, and was also aware of the strength that the fortress possessed. How much information was leaked to the enemy? He was tired of talking. He doesn't have much time, so it's better to end things quickly. Giffen asked it how. This demon's abilities were definitely far from his own. This person should be behind remembering the terrace forever. True strength can overcome any obstacle. They hadn't even heard of the Demon King's army having a hero, Saint, Hyung-seok, and even that traitor. Who knew there were as many as 3 people? The protagonist replied that they had lost. The speed here would be all the soldiers of the fortress. No matter how strong he was, an entire army was impossible to resist. It would be better for him not to waste his strength and surrender. But whether he was sure or not, the man had definitely lost. Roigu didn't know when this man had only managed to master Reed-Run-san's fighting style. Thanks to that, he was able to catch the enemy. My body belongs to the god. Having scattered his ashes, I offer them to my lord. In return, give me the power to crush evil. It was a flame of divine power. Roigu recognized immediately that it was a spell to burn one's own body. No one in their right mind would do such a thing. This wall of flames that was filled with the divine power of a high-ranked sacred knight. Ordinary people would burn at the mere touch. Even high-level demons can barely resist it. So it would be better for this hero to surrender and give them the Holy One. Hyun-seok asked why people would kill a saint. Mrs. Evelson is on their side, after all. The man asked, and what does he mean by that? That's nonsense. After everything that's happened, where could such news come from? Evelson said that the Holy Empire had long ago abandoned God. The protagonist asked what she was talking about. All they want is a silent, obeying orders puppet. And it doesn't matter if she's a real saint or not. He tapped his sword, for he was tired of listening to these tearful speeches. He decided to give this hero 10 seconds. Hyun-seok wondered how long he could fight this guy. At this moment, there was only one way. A promotion to the first level. Blossom. Evelson asked the Lord, wondering if he had decided to use dark mana. He must stop now or his body won't be able to survive. They're all going to die here anyway. Therefore, he must do something at least. Promotion to level 2. Full Bloom. Promotion comes in 3 stages. Blossom, Full Bloom, and Flower Fall. Each stage is more dangerous than the previous one, so it's better not to even try to use it. There is no need to move on to the next stage without full control over the previous one. The guy's ears were already pricked up from how often he heard it. He had to apologize to Reed-Run-san. Hyun-seok would only do this once. It felt like his heart was about to burst. Every cell in his body was screaming for him to stop. Time was getting shorter and shorter. Rachel asked Mr. Hero if he had completely lost his mind. The situation is indeed desperate, but a promotion is overkill. He doesn't need to listen to this angel. It was better to concentrate. Promotion to level 3. Falling Flowers. He demanded that Rachel give the buff and keep it up. It's amazing to see a person who can use a boosting technique. It turns out he's an unusual hero. It's time to get this over with. The fact that his body had turned black said that he was at the 3rd level of enhancement. He doesn't know how the man was able to use the demon technique, but it won't be for long. This man only needs to wait it out, and then victory will be his. And the protagonist was able to parry this man's sword strike with a single movement of his hand. In fact, he's never seen anything like this before. What a dirty trick. This man had completely succumbed to the temptation of the dastardly demons. He should be ashamed of himself for this. Hyun-seok felt that he was already at his limit. But if he didn't give up, Evelson would die. He needs to remember that boosting is a technique that pushes the body to the limit of what it can do. And if he overexerts himself, he may never recover. But right now, there's a silver-haired beauty crying right in front of him. He doesn't care at all about the fact that he might die anymore. His body is already on the brink as it is. Even if he stops, it can't be restored. Since there's no turning back, he'll just go all the way. Dark mana and divine power are 2 opposites. And if he used the divine one after the dark one now, his body might just explode. She asked the Lord to prevent that from happening. Reed runs fighting style. This guy decided to still use shooting after all. It smells like suicide. First form. Instant annihilation. The man was ready to make this heretic redeem himself with death. If this blow was all he could do, it's pretty pathetic. However, the protagonist has another combo. Strike form. Reed runs fighting style. First form. Instant destruction. Kick combo. Not only did this guy use 2 different fighting techniques, he also changed them. An explosion sounded. Hyung-seok's opponent was defeated. After that, he fell down as well. Rachel and Evelson began to worry about him. Of course, Saint realized that his condition was critical. The guy was barely breathing. The girl asked for Mr. Hyun-seok to just hold out. Suddenly, that very defeated opponent rose to his feet again. He had underestimated this guy. This is clearly an extraordinary person. If he survived, what would become a threat to the entire empire? So we need to finish him off right now. That's what he thought until he was grabbed by Reedrun's hand. He apologized to Hyun-seok for being late. Still, this guy was taking advantage of his fighting style. Reedrun asked the saint if she could save him. Evelyn would do her best. She asked that Mr. Hyun-seok not die. It's not time yet. Demon King's Castle waiting room. Annual meeting of the commanders. Day 5. Did she really come all this way for such pathetic desserts? She'd better not show off and eat what she's given. This advice was given to her by the commander of the 4th Corps of the Demon King's army, Park Hyung. Past position as a hero. Hemis asked when their dear Lady Hyuna would learn respect. After all, she knows that Hemis could have killed her 100 times already in the past time, if not for the ban on fighting between corps commanders. A subordinate came running in with an urgent report for Mrs. Hemis. As it turned out, the Gatran Empire had attacked the Black Fortress. The intruders are 4 knights, including 1 hero. Many soldiers are killed or wounded. The annual meeting of commanders suddenly decides to hold a different way, and people at this very moment attack. What an incredible coincidence. His Majesty the King must be thinking about it too. Once again he managed to survive. How cool. Rachel was angry at his words that he had survived again. Let him die already at last. Hyun-seok replied that he was a patient after all. Considering the fact that he could feel pain, he was definitely alive. And he felt like he'd thrown off his skates. He did. The protagonist was able to use a fighting style, but the opponent also survived a direct attack. However, a cowhead suddenly rushed in, and in the end, Mr. Hero was saved. Happy end. After that, Cowhead and Saint took turns taking care of him every day. Rachel and Bobo also looked after him whenever possible, but both the Saint and Cowhead thought his survivability was a miracle. Still, Rachel asked that he not do that anymore. Otherwise, Rachel would soon have a heart attack and die before her time. He drew a finger in her direction, and she thought he wanted to beat her up again. This time, however, Rachel was right. Hyun-seok apologized for making her worry. Rachel did a great job. A few hours later, he managed to survive not because of his own strength, but because of the dark mana that Miss Hemis had put in. He's already said this to the protagonist 189 times. Reedrun recognizes that he is talented, the new big one. Let him not do such crazy things. Does he really think he has extra life or immortality in store? He reiterated again that without Madam's help, he would have been in the other world by now. Hyun-seok asked for him to stop it. Hemis was also getting bored by now. The protagonist asked the commander how her meeting went. Her babes are having more fun in her own headquarters apartment. Who cares about the meeting? So she just ran away from there. The esteemed Demon King must have been a little freaked out. These two were in a stupor. But that didn't matter right now. Even though she had planned to share her mana with him, who would have thought that a person only at the level of a company commander would be able to use it as his own? Choi Hyun-seok is a very funny person. My lord probably remembers the moment when they first invaded this world. Back then, he finally said that he would join forces. Hemis always followed his will because she knew what he was trying to protect. Demon King. Tegred wondered what she was talking about. He's crossing the line a bit. It's a little too arrogant on her part. It sounds like she's about to start a riot. Tegred asked if a long life had made her a primitive creature. Hemis knew he would say that. She didn't want to argue with my lord, so she would go. However, she did question if he was sure that she was the one who had become boring. He should think hard about it. It was the last piece of advice as a comrade he had traveled a long way with. The 3rd building, the Bobo house. Hyun-seok wished the two of them a good journey. Hemis congratulated Reedrun. He wondered what she was talking about. He had defeated a human hero single-handedly, after all. It was high time for him to move on, to rise to a higher position. Reedrun appreciated her words, but he didn't think it was time yet. Hemis asks why it isn't. One part of that demon still wants to watch Choi Hyun-seok's growth, and the other part wants to continue learning from Miss Hemis. After all, he still has a lot to learn. That's what it's like. The castle is in a mess because of the human invasion. Reedrun had no excuses. She thinks everyone is lazy because this castle is far from the front. That's why she suggested a tournament, to choose a new commander for the 3rd Battalion. Even after upgrading the hero's store to medium level, he still has 950 points left. Not spending them would be a waste. After completing the quest, 1,000 points were earned at all. The store is now of medium level, which means that there are even more useful items here. There are all possible items, and even a new category of miscellaneous. Perhaps you need to buy something there, so it's just ordinary armor. Once worn and scrapped. Not even a stat bonus. Even a cow's head won't catch a breath. Some of the bling has different options, but it's unclear which ones. So for now he decided to improve the combat power determinant. He wondered what this skill and magic creation was that cost 500 hero points. It's not an item, but rather the creation of a unique skill. For example, if they made a movie hero a skill and improved it, it would get better, but it would still be a kick. Probably. Sounds like something that would require insurance. The skill creation process has been initiated. Started observing and recording the user's mana and physical abilities for a certain period of time. The start and end times can be manually assigned by the user. Now he had seen with his own eyes how a skill was created. It's actually pretty cool. Choi Hyun-seok's character data record. He decided to start the back. The end of the recording. A skill is created. Optimizing the balance of strength. Optimizing mana control and finishing touches. The guy wondered what kind of advanced system this was. Was his life finally turning into a normal rebirth story? Of course, it wasn't. The skill creation failed. The system was asking him to choose another method. He did everything according to the instructions, so why isn't this thing working? It seems like the system doesn't recognize buggy users using dark mana. The hero defense system is literally one of the best in the world. It's not a server error. It's about the hero lord for using demonic ki. With her words, she only got the protagonist down. He heard a notification from the system. What else does it want to tell him? He's already pissed off. Hero's mission. Looks like he just blew 500 hero points. It's too soon to despair. He can earn more points. Now was the time to forget the past and move forward. He must create his own skill through strength. Hyun-seok sent that system to the hell. Let them just give him his points back. Reedrun's training ground. The guy begged for this gentleman to help him just once. It turns out this guy wants to create his own skill. That was really the case. Reedrun agreed to help. Anyway, he was going to study with this guy today. They would start right away. And then the training began. It went on and on. Day 1, he finally made it. The hero's task had been accomplished. He had accomplished a great feat, surpassing the hero's limitations and going beyond the accepted norms. A special reward is available to him. Current combat power is 26,520. The protagonist now has a skill of his own. A modified version of Reedrun's martial arts, Nobility, the day of the tournament. Today's host is Jark. Today's tournament is a large-scale event where one commander of the 1st Battalion and one commander of the 13th Regiment will be chosen. The participants that are participating in this event were over 1,000. The entire tournament is divided into 3 stages, and they will be completely different from the usual fights everyone is used to. The first stage, which will begin in just an hour. It's called Oops, Knife Accidentally Slipped, or the Law of the Road, the Killing Run. The protagonist was approached by Park Hyuna, who was watching him. He's human, after all. Black hair, and on top of that, he has a combat power meter. At first glance, this is the most ordinary hero, but for some reason, she could feel the dark mana in him. Reedrun asked that 4th Corps Commander Park Hyung step aside. He came with orders from Commander Hemis for their chef. Park Hyuna was surprised that the order was being given to this guy. In any case, if asked to get out, then so be it. It's boring here anyway. It's amazing that this cowhead keeps a human around, not as food, but as a commander. That's pretty interesting. Reedrun replied that sometimes it acts weird, but still, this commander of the 4th Corps. It's also a former hero, just like Hyun-seok. Hyuna came to observe the tournament on the orders of the Demon King. But Mrs. Hemis is sure it's a surveillance, so it's best to stay away from that lady. It's obvious something's up. Anyway, he figured it out. The guy asked what the commander's orders were for him. The commander ordered him to become one of the 8 finalists in the tournament. Otherwise, they would send him back to the 2nd Corps as human research material. She said it would be protection pay. 2 hours later. The start of the tournament. Roigu will explain the rules. The first stage is a normal run. You have to run to the finish line. If one of the competitors is not accidentally killed today, there will be no punishment. This person must have heard that killing will not be penalized here. So that arrogant person better not hang around him. Of course Hyun-seok will do that. Let the race begin. He turned to the barbarians who can't fly. He'll accidentally drop something on them. Hyun-seok tells Rachel to activate the shield. She also has to tell him what's going on in the front. Rachel mentions that if he keeps running as well, he can rank 100. It's amazing that this man managed to survive. But that's where his luck ends, because he's about to die. Luckily, Rachel managed to block that punch. What about this one? It seemed to him that this attack was weaker. for that demon had split it. It was beautiful, but no more. The demon shouted as the man attacked them with his long-range weapon. That crazy bastard just decided to set him up. They were all focused on killing the man now. They never liked him anyway. The demon lunged forward and told this man to catch up if he could do it. What an asshole. He would regret it if he caught Hyun-seok's eye. The guy asked Rachel how many there were running in front of him right now. He was able to overtake 76 competitors. There were still 24 demons ahead of him. At this moment, the defense was broken through. Those fighting skills that Hyun-seok had learned were completely incompatible with the human body. Reedrun's enhancement techniques and fighting style techniques were created for demons. Therefore, he needs to come up with his own skills. A fusion of the dark mana that Miss Hemis gave him and the magic power of humans. It was his own skill. His skill. For a long time, the color of nobility was purple, and so was his skill. So why not call it nobility? Magic power was increased from C rank to D rank. Dark mana was increased from E rank to C rank, a nobility born in purple. An ancient term that denotes being born for the light of a nobleman. A fusion of two existing powers, giving rise to a new one, mastered by 0.06%. Nobility. First form. The king's step. He immediately began to overtake all the demons in front of him. 95 competitors have already reached the finish line. There were only 5 places left. This asshole didn't understand how a human was able to get to this place so quickly. What an unexpected encounter and quite pleasant. Reedrun's fighting style. Third form. Attack. Let him die completely by accident. He hit the wall. Here came the last participants, that 95th and 100th place. Hoglot and Choi Hyun-seok. Hyun-seok was happy that he was able to do it. And that asshole was unhappy with the dirty man's actions. He wanted to kill him already. Roygo kicked him, saying that the race was over. The 100 contestants who passed the first trials will take part in the second tournament in 3 days. They are now free to go. That same night. The forest next to the Black Fortress. Hyuna asked if she was really going to free him during the tournament. At that moment, another new demon named Motum arrived. It had been a long time since she had seen him after all. 97 years, 3 months, and 11 days to be exact. Hemis familiar, Motum, inquired about what he could do for Mistress. Combat power 198,532. Hemis explained to him that he should just take away the flags of all the participants. But there was no need to overdo it. If he encountered a weakling, he needed to be gentle with him. Hyuna noticed that the Devourer must have softened up since she was asking for such a thing. In response, Hemis asked why the 4th Corps commander thought demons were losing to humans. Because they fight too fair. Demons always try to solve everything by brute force. But if they lose, there is only one road open to them. Death. And this is the order of the day for them. However, people are different. If they find themselves at a disadvantage, they will refuse to fight. Humans are capable of cunning or playing a game outside the battlefield. That's why the Demon King keeps losing to the weaker race. Looks like it's time for someone to refresh their knowledge already. The rules for the second round of the tournament. Groups of 4 participants are formed randomly. Each group is given 2 flags. After 48 hours, the 10 teams with the most flags move on. Teams that find themselves at the end of the second stage without a single flag are disqualified. The demons wanted to use this person as bait to defeat the others. Meanwhile, Hyun-seok didn't understand why he was even on the same team as that jerk. Team 9. Hyun-seok, Holgoth, Ikigli, and Fedison. They should just wait it out until the end of the round and move on. How annoying that goat is. Standings. The 5th team had 9 flags. The 8th team had 7 flags. The 24th team had 5. The 9th team had 4 flags. The 1st team had 3 flags. The table changed again. Now the 8th team was in first place. Suddenly he heard the sound of metal. Motum had found them. One thing was clear. It was because of him that the teams had started bouncing around the table. Goat asked if it was the Golden Goblin. Hyun-seok said not to go near him since he didn't need to be fought. But the demons didn't want to listen to the coward. He wanted to kill this opponent and take all the flags himself. But at the same time, he was able to deal with these guys. He took the flags for himself. Hyuna doesn't know what the Devourer is counting on, but it's all pointless. How can you stand up to Motum? There are 18 minutes and 32 seconds left. The standings have updated. There was less than a minute left. Hyun-seok told them to get ready. When he gives the signal, they'll go on the attack. Especially that asshole should use his head. Motum took away their flags. Another primitive attack. The protagonist told the goat to hit with magic. He didn't want any human to order him around. Next, Ikigli got down to business. Double attack. This was actually the first team to resort to such a trick. It's kind of invigorating. But it's just a trivial slow frontal attack. Even their dark maga is terribly weak. Now it's time for the centipede attack. Nobility, first form, the king's step. Now he can take Motem's flags. What great teamwork. Pretty good for an improvised plan. But they can't do much more than that. 15 seconds left. This guy's resorting to a power he's never seen before. Could it be purple energy? 10 seconds. Time's running out. If he's that interested, let him try it on himself. All or nothing. Dark mana explosion. 5 seconds left. 4 seconds. 3, 2, 1 second. Round's over. Motem noticed that he had blown his magic, but it was powerful enough. Did he mean to self-destruct? The honoring of the flags begins. Suddenly, the main character told this Ironhead to turn around. Motem didn't even notice when he only managed to pick up one flag. Hyun-suk asked, did he really think the main character started blowing himself up without having a plan? Everything had been thought out. That encounter with him was pretty damn shitty. 7th place was shared by teams 15, 4, 21. He never wanted to cross paths with that Iron Man again in his life. Team 9 moved up to 2nd place. New skill, Dark Mana Explosion. A technique that utilizes the magic and properties of dark mana for powerful explosions. Users collide human and dark mana inside the body, and then releases the resulting power outward, creating an explosion. Possession level 0.11%. Hemis asked what he thought Choi Hyun-seok was. Motem replied that he is human, but he uses dark mana and mixes it with human power. This is the first time he's seen such a case. Hemis asked if he might have any other opinion. He is talented and quick, courageous and judicious. To be honest, this guy is better than most of the demons he's met. They need change. Winds of change. Hemis thinks it'll be interesting. The Holy Empire of Gatren. Papa finds out that Sir Gethrin has lost. To think that he had lost a hero so senselessly. The man asked His Holiness what he would do with the saint. No matter how popular the damned wench is, she's only a princess of a small country after all. So he's stripping Evelyn Marriott of her status as the next saint. The Pope ordered us to tell everyone that this Eredish girl is in cahoots with the Demon King's army. Next, he wanted to know if the Eater was causing trouble again. She is apparently reorganizing the troops and command structure. Apparently, she is going to select the best officers through a tournament. Orvin asked if there was any way to stop her. They offered the Demon King cooperation, but he refused. It seems that a tainted relationship with the Devourer would cause problems. Orvin asked what would happen if they involved one of their heroes. Lord Kinley Quitely would be able to stand up to the Devourer. It is said that the traitorous Park Hyuna is now stationed in the Black Fortress. She's also quite strong. It will be difficult to face both of them at the same time. So the traitor showed up at the Black Fortress at this time. He really hoped that the Demon King in the Frost was trying to side with the Devourer. Cardinal Ellen thought that it would be better to cancel the operation. Had the Cardinal forgotten how the Church and the Drasen Empire had become the two strongest powers that divided the continent between them? All thanks to the inevitable evil, the demons. Evil exists only for the good to oppose it and shine as brightly as possible. This radiance instructs the ignorant, and their faith becomes Gathrin's national strength. So far, they have cooperated with the Demon King, controlling the course of the war. But if the demons continue to change and evolve, they will become difficult to control. The spy seemed to mention something, as if the venue for the next stage of the tournament had changed. It's going to be brought here in Inamosita, a forest teeming with monsters. It's quite far away by the Black Fortress. It looks like God is on their side. He has ordered the Cardinal to summon the heroes. They will use this opportunity to test their abilities. When he started using normal and dark mana at the same time, the skill windows became eerily complex. Before that, the hero was only to realize that he could perform one pant that the cowgirl had taught him. While in the skill window, Riedran's martial arts variant is officially fixed. Both Dark Mana Blast and Nobility were also recorded separately, so in total he now had 5 skills. So the leadership skills have gotten better too. The new effects are quite useful. Leadership. The executive ability of the commander's subordinates had improved greatly. Rachel thought that this was a pretty good promotion. Hyun-suk wondered if there were any other items that increased his stats. Park Hyuna appeared behind him and told him not to get lost. He's not at that level. He immediately bounced away, because he didn't expect to see the commander of the 4th Corps in front of him. What a noisy guy that guy is. He better just shut up and finally tell him how many hero points he had now. Hyun-suk had 1,300 points and a store rank of average. What a piece of trash. The protagonist asked for advice on what would be the best thing to buy from a store at his level. She's already experienced in this, after all. It turns out this guy is also a parasite who wants to rise on other people's knowledge. In that case, if she tells him everything, then he should answer her questions too. Of the skills available, the ones designed for aura are good, but he already has aura. Then he just needs to level up his store and buy a pocket expansion. It's kind of like an inventory. For its cost, it's a pretty useful item. Now it was her turn to ask questions. The first question was if he was really a hero. Hyun-seok answered that he was something like Togo. The second question, however, was about why the hell he was even in the Demon King's army. The guy answered that it was pure chance. The next question was how he even uses both magic and dark mana at the same time. That came out on its own. Now she wanted to summarize. He's a hero, but somehow he ended up in the Demon King's army. And he can also use 2 different powers at the same time. That's just a load of crap. But she ended up here too. After a while, she approached this guy. Hyuna offered him a place in the 4th ward. She would personally help him grow up. However, the guy refused. She decided to increase his weight. Hyuna asked him what his reason was for wanting to stay here. In the first place, it seemed to him that Mrs. Hemis was going to kill him. Since that's first, it turns out there's something else. He wanted to marry a blonde aristocrat and become a father of 5 children. Hyuna replied that he could forget about her proposal. He could do whatever he wanted. But the Devourer is definitely not going to let him go. After which, she left. He actually seemed to have gotten more attached to life here than he expected. Tournament, 3rd round. The protagonist asked for a Bobo to watch the house in his absence. The guy will be back as soon as possible. From the stadium, they will go straight to Inamosit with the others. It's time to head to the land of monsters. Level up. A new level for killing a single mob. Hyun-seok has already gained 4 levels. I wonder if he's dreaming. Dryad. Most dryads are plant-like demonic female creatures. They help other plants and monsters reproduce by exchanging pollen. Could this be the item? The rules of the 3rd stage of the tournament. Survive in a forest swarming with demonic creatures. The 3rd stage will be completed when 24 participants have left. Each contestant will be given a magic item, a tracking orb. This orb runs on dark mania, and it was created for Hemis's amusement. Every hour, each participant's location appears on it. The magic skills of the Demon King's army are impressive. They can even use such complex spells. He wanted to take this and leave before anyone showed up. However, something popped into his head. He had finally found this person. Trump felt that he would definitely not be turned away this time. It was annoying as hell. And why does Roygo always play the role of watchdog? He's numb. Before the teleportation gate. The Goblin told me not to say that. It's their only way through. Roygo knows what will happen if that gate breaks down. Who would ever think of coming into the middle of nowhere like this? As it turned out, such people would be found. He immediately decided to use his abilities to find out who was here. Could it be that these people came to hunt monsters? However, there is no strong magic coming from them. If Roygo attacked first and they discovered the gate, there would be trouble. Inamosit Ogroman. So it was unlikely that they were headed this way. He had a bad feeling, but decided to wait for now. This wretched man should crack before his might and beg for mercy from the great Lord Holgoth. Or he will simply choose to cowardly flee. There is no shame in fleeing. The scars on his back are a disgrace to a swordsman, not to one who fights with his fists. The protagonist was already contemplating just killing him. Trump mentioned that if this guy kills him, he'll regret it later. He has very valuable information. Hyun-seok asked, and what kind of information does he have? In fact, all the demons have this person first on their death lists. As if Hyun-seok didn't know that himself, but he was curious to know them. Where are the others? Why did he come alone? He started the countdown. After that, the demons came running there, saying that Holgoth had found a human, the large arena of the Black Fortress. She didn't expect them all to start hunting Choi Hyun-seok. What a pity. And Hemis doesn't look like she's regretting it. Roygo sent an urgent report that they're under attack. They're trying to breach the gate. The enemy is a squad of humans armed with stealth attack devices. Somehow they got the exact location of the portal. After that, the connection was cut off. Hemis turned to Reedran. He's on his way immediately. So the humans came prepared. It looks like they have a rat somewhere. Hyun-seok asked if it was okay to do something like this at the tournament. What are the organizers doing? Rachel told Mr. Hero to keep his voice down. And there wasn't a person here. We have to wait for the next update of the tracking sphere. He's scared shitless. The guy didn't even know if he was going to make it out alive at all. Rachel mentioned that he's leveling up fast. Maybe they should level him up even more by having a massacre. She also asked if there was anything useful in the store. She's right. There should be something in the store, like an item that will break the game and save him from those assholes. Suddenly, another person appeared in front of him. The unknown man in a cloak asked if he was the hero that so many rumors are now about. He took off his hood. The others repeated after him. It felt like there was something wrong with these people. What the hell were the people here forgetting in the first place? The hero Andrew Taylor apologized for being late. Hero buildings. He encountered a group of evil heroes. Trying to defeat them is pure suicide. He needs to survive somehow. He has a main goal to survive, and an additional goal to kill the group of heroes. And as a reward, he will get 1,000 hero points. He immediately bowed and greeted this gentleman and also gave his name. Choi Hyun-seok inquired as to what brought him to this backwater, demon hunting. Hyung-seok replied that it was a very noble mission, to deal with demons in the name of justice. In that case, he would go and kill a couple of them too. The protagonist wished him good luck. However, he will not be allowed to leave so easily. Also, Andrew must destroy the human traitor. There also came running demons, who finally found this man. Did this wretched man think he could escape from the great Holgoth? It was only then that the others noticed that there were 2 other people there for some reason. Could it be that this guy was using a cloning spell? They immediately turned their attention to the demons that had come. Hyun-seok shouted that they should sing the song of the 3rd Corps of the Demon King's army right now. Holgoth and the other demons didn't understand what he wanted to do. Andrew didn't understand his intent either. We, the great army of the king. We will crush all humans and devour them to white bones. We will slay all our father's enemies, for we are the king's army. Charisma and leadership have been activated, and the morale of our allies has been boosted. Exterminate. That guy's got a point. An army is an army. They should kill people now. Hyung-seok vowed that he would always remember the great sacrifice of his comrades. He suggested that they meet again at Valhalla. They probably won't last long. Soon that hero will catch up to Hyung-seok. How will he be then? Suddenly, he was stopped by Roigo. The protagonist asked the commander what was going on here. Roigo explained that the people destroyed the portal leading to the fortress. Hyun-seok asked, "What about the guards? They're probably dead too." Roigo himself barely made it out of there alive. How can they all be dead when the enemy only has 40 men after all? Roigo explained that they were all at battalion commander level. 3 of them are like regimental commanders in general, and 1 is like a division commander at all. Hyun-seok asked how they would get out of here alive then. The answer is simple. They can't. And this guy's wearing a tracking spell, in case he didn't know. The humans have done a good job. Roigo's the highest-ranking man in the Demon King's army, so it's easy to track the 2 of them. The protagonist asked Coco if she could break his spells. Roigo is good at magic after all. He replied that it would take too much time. They don't have that much time. The sphere stated that there was a high-level demonic creature nearby. They had better check the location. As soon as he learned of the monster's existence, he reported to the commander that he had an idea. They destroyed the demons, and the hero traitor escaped. We need to move on to kill him. The subordinate reported to Andrew that he was not far from here in the east. However, the hero sensed more than just that guy. There's more Flocklade out there. Flocklade. Average combat power between 250,000 and 300,000. It's a Nemesite's strongest predator. A huge plant-like demonic creature that is considered particularly dangerous. It requires at least 1 hero-level fighter to destroy it. It can be defeated, but the damage will be enormous. And so this plant appeared right in front of them. It was terrifyingly huge. Those 2 attracted its attention, and that traitor was out of his mind. Pheromone perfume. A perfume with a scent that some monsters love. The farther they are from the subject, the weaker the effect. Slightly increases the monster's proximity to humans. A female dryad. Advancement status. He will do whatever it takes to survive, even if he has to become a female tree to do so. Andrew will deal with this traitor himself. Andrew immediately headed towards them. Roigo managed to fend off his punch, after which he jumped back. Advanced Hero Swordsmanship, First Form, Hero's Path. This was the attack he used against Roigo. Other subordinates jumped in there and prepared to capture him. However, they would be dealt with by Hyun-seok. The protagonist decided to take on the smaller mobs, and he should last a little longer. Andrew asked if he planned to keep stalling. Top of Flock Day. Before engaging the enemy. This plan will make the best use of their strengths. Roigo should constantly run away and deplete the enemy's stamina. He can also use the demonic beast as a shield against his attacks. He has skills like stealth, whip, fast movement, and binding magic. Kind of like mid to long range support. Meanwhile, Hyun-seok will deal with the monster. The key to this plan is not to go in for a frontal attack. They'll call this Operation Attack. Andrew noticed that he's a very sneaky bastard. How long is he going to run from him? Turns out that's how people usually fight. Pretty cowardly approach. Andrew's sick of him running away all the time. However, this will buy them some time. There was an order to kill the traitor. Therefore, he was determined to kill Hyun-seok. Fortunately, the protagonist managed to dodge all his attacks. This guy is strong. One punch and he's definitely a dead man. But his movements are pretty predictable. There's nothing supernatural about it. It's just a normal sword swing. Hyun-seok tripped him and the man fell down. After that, he finished the man off. His level was raised. The protagonist didn't even think he could win so easily, and that fast. However, their movements were very unusual. At that moment, he wondered if they were even human. Hyun-seok had used the boosting technique for too long. Because of this, some changes began to happen to his body. The dark mana skill increased from level C to B. Temporal synchronization of the body with dark mana. Transformation initiated. Roigo is already at his limit. The demonic beast is about to break out. Andrew replies that this demon is only good at escaping, but there is nowhere to run to now. Heroes get stronger with each demonic creature or demon killed. Specifically, Andrew is already at level 983. Leave it to him to kill this monster that Roigo was now using as a shield. He would immediately reach level 1000. Their battle was still going on, but of course, Roigo also had his own plan. If he just pumps up his skills, he'll be able to deal with this little bastard. Except he was running away from this hero for a reason. Binding Puds, Multiform, all those poodles headed straight for Andrew. And now the protagonist would explain Plan B. It's called Stealing the Final Blow. Roigo wondered if this was some kind of code name among the heroes. Hyun-seok will deal with the 6 before the demonic beast is killed. And Roigo must continue to distract the hero. When the time comes, he must help Hyun-seok defeat the monster. It seems like they don't even have any other options. However, there are 2 flaws in his plan. Roigo doubted that this guy wouldn't be able to do everything in time. Secondly, he doubted that Hyun-seok would definitely be able to overpower the hero after he leveled up. To be honest, there was less than a 1% chance that everything would go as it should. But if they give up now, they won't even have those crumbs. If it's a choice between 0 and 1, he'll bet everything on the latter. Andrew asked, and what this cheap tie-up trick would get him. He'll see that later. They have their own heroes too, after all. One who knows how to raise his level. Andrew couldn't figure out what was wrong with this guy, why he became a demon. His level was raised because of the last hit. Roigo replied that this guy came just in time. Hyun-seok thanked the commander for his work. Now it's time to deal with this hero. Andrew asked if this man really thinks he can defeat him just because he killed a monster. Advanced Hero Swordsmanship, 3rd form, Dragon Slayer. The protagonist was able to block this conclusion. Andrew realized that this kid is a melee fighter, so you can't let him get close. However, he managed to break through, and was already heading straight for the red-haired man. He already wanted to use Advanced Hero Swordsmanship, 7th form. However, Andrew didn't even have time to use it before he was immediately struck by the protagonist. It was a powerful punch that threw him back down right against the wall. Andrew didn't understand at all who this guy even was. Is it really a real demon? After all, his appearance was really reminiscent and demonic. Hyun-seok admitted that all the opponents he had fought so far were stronger than himself. Therefore, even a battle like this wasn't new to him. He grabbed that man's face and sealed him right into the ground. Thanks to that, he realized something. Andrew asked him to stop. It was a level-headed cognition. Andrew couldn't believe what she was about to do. This guy lady is a hero, and they are on the same side. But it was too late. A level is just a number. There were many pop-ups about leveling up. There was also a hidden characteristic unlocked. The spirit of battle was unlocked. Increased resistance to mental debuffs. Increased concentration during battle. He really felt like he was dying right now. He was approached by Roigo, who asked if this guy was even alive. Hyun-seok replied that he was dead. After that, the demon told him to drink it. He poured the contents right on his face. Hyun-seok asked what kind of disgusting potion it was. Roigo replied that Hyun-seok's fairy brought it. Rachel explained that it was a high-quality healing potion. Therefore, he should drink all of them. It heals wounds and slowly restores mana. The cost is 500 hero points. Hyun-seok asked where she was able to get it. As it turns out, Rachel found it from the dead heroes. They lost it all after they died. This world is a strange place after all. Rachel asked what he was talking about. The guy meant that heroes should be on the side of good, fighting evil and saving the world. But here, even if you kill another hero, there isn't even any punishment. You can even be rewarded for such actions. Hyun-seok acted like a true villain, but there was no retribution. Roigo replied that this is exactly from his point of view. In his eyes, this guy is a good hero. Hyun-seok saved his life. He better not cling to human morality so much. There are 2 sides to everything, right and wrong. It doesn't mean anything. Hyun-suk asked if the commander was comforting him now. He kicked the guy and told him to just rest, silently rest. Hyun-seok yelled that the commander was hurting him. His poor bones are already broken as it is. Roigo managed to send for help before they lost contact, so they were on their way. One demon rushed there at once. It was Reborn, who had created a simple portal. Roigo pushed him right into the portal. Thanks to that portal, he had gotten into the third corps of the Demon King's army. Black Fortress. The guy was just saying that he was back, and suddenly he noticed the devastation. Hyun-suk didn't understand at all why their house was on fire. Their attention was immediately drawn to something. It was a huge Hemis, Park Hyun asked. Isn't that enough to calm down? Hemis herself knows she's not a traitor, right? It doesn't matter if that person is a traitor or not. It's just a little off right now. So it's better to get rid of the possible threats that have been lurking in the ranks of the army. She's so crazy. Hyuna said she wasn't a traitor. Suddenly, someone interfered in their battle. It was so fast and powerful that it immediately attracted attention. It was none other than the commander of the 5th Corps of the Demon King's army, the head of the Cowden tribe. Ozgiz relayed a message from the Demon King that ordered Hemis to stop immediately. She was even surprised that the rumors had caught up with the Demon King so quickly. Ozgiz wouldn't have had time to send it even if the information came right after the attack on the 3rd Corps. That was why she had a question. How did the Demon King know about everything so quickly? It turns out that this wench was just a decoy and they had a single traitor in their midst. Ozgiz thought it was no use guessing and overreacting. Apparently, she did go overboard. And even once long ago, she had saved Rothak from the humans. But as punishment, she had been imprisoned in the fortress she had spent 100 years in. Now that's overkill. Saving Rothak. Hemis wondered if that was what he meant. Reedrun stepped in as well and asked the lady to stop all of this. Ozgiz immediately turned as soon as she heard Reedrun's voice. This time she was done. Ozgiz should be grateful to his nephew. Hyun-suk also didn't realize that this was even just now. Even the Demon King's army was a complete mess. Evelson heard that he is now the battalion commander. Does he really want to stay in the Demon King's army? The protagonist isn't sure about that, but they are definitely Gatren's worst enemies now. In addition, it is now somehow hard for him to get along with people. He's got horns growing out of his head, and he's using dark mana. He wanted to talk about those heroes. There was definitely something wrong with all of them except the main one. Hyun-suk felt like they were under hypnosis. Even when he killed them, not a single muscle on their faces trembled. The protagonist wondered if there might be anything known about this. Evelson hadn't been there in a long time, so she didn't know how things were going there now. However, the Holy Empire does have a lot of strong heroes. Most of the demon wars were led by heroes of the sacred rank. However, the reason for such a huge number of heroes, and for what reason they become strong so quickly, and are kept in the strictest of secrets. Rumor has it that there are brutal methods involved. And the Drasen Empire, for example, rejects their favorite heroes altogether. Reedrun apologized for interrupting their conversation. Hyun-suk and the Saint wanted to see Mrs. Hemis's office. The two of them would be traveling today. A special magical spatial interference field needs to be established. Of course, the protagonist didn't know what it even was. He just needs to visualize a barrier that blocks unregistered movements. He doesn't want an assassin to sneak into his bedroom. However, only the 2nd Corps can install such fields, so the two of them have a work trip ahead of them. As Hemis's envoy, and her envoy's personal physician, they will consider it their payment for her protecting the two of them from bloodthirsty humans. In addition, she would send a guide with them. Roigo didn't understand why he had to do this again. Hemis wrote a letter for her competent Roigo. He should take care of Hyun-seok and the Saint. If something happens to them in the 2nd Corps, Roigo should know what happens to him. Rotach is absent today as well. Ozgiz noticed that he never showed up for the extraordinary meeting. Toritugs, the 1st Corps commander, replied that it wasn't a mandatory meeting, so just didn't care. Such disrespect is annoying, though. Park Hyung asked what would change if even he came. Hemis simply remained silent. The Demon King and Army Commander-in-Chief suggested to just continue the meeting. The action of the 3rd Corps commander was on the agenda today. Hemis decided to hold a large-scale event without prior notice. Because of which, the humans took advantage of the moment and attacked the fortress, causing destruction and casualties in the army. 97 dead, over 100 seriously wounded, and the rest had minor injuries. In addition, Hemis attacked the commander of the 4th Corps, Park Hyuna, without warning. By doing so, the rule that battles between commanders and must be pre-arranged was violated. Accordingly, the issue of disciplinary action against Hemis will be brought up for discussion today. Those who have something to say can speak openly. Hemis had something to say. Someone was leaking information to people, which led to the attack. She attacked the 4th Corps commander because she mistook her for a traitor. That's why she thinks it's better to look for a rat instead of doing what she's doing now. Tehrad asked if she was challenging him. Still, she was saying that catching the traitor was prioritized over such a petty thing. How dare she even say such a thing? The Demon King's castle. The corridor in front of the conference room. Both of them had succumbed to their emotions so much that they had to interrupt. Hyuna wondered if there was even a chance that Hemis and the Demon King would come to an agreement. Tori Tugs replied that there probably wasn't. The worst thing is when close allies come up against each other. It is likely that this will happen often in the future, which meant one had to figure out whose side they would take when the time came. The Demon King, or the commander of the 3rd Corps. 2nd Corps, Magic Tower. Hyun Seok asked if this was the famous Magic Tower. The guards stood in front of the guys and asked for their name. Roigo from the 3rd Corps headquarters, as well as 2 people. Since these guests were from the 3rd Corps, the commander had been waiting for them for a long time. 2nd Corps. Rodich's office. The person that is using dark mana and his body is also becoming demonic. Hemis asked to check the condition of the person who would be coming soon. There is no need to kill. However, a person is just a person. It doesn't matter how many of them try to imitate a demon. They would still be human after all. The 3 of them walked in and greeted the 2nd Corps commander. He immediately jumped down from his seat and approached the human. You can't see something like that, but he could feel everything perfectly. Rotaha replied that it would hurt, but he would have to be patient. It really did hurt like hell. Evelson immediately went over to the main character and asked if he was okay. That was pretty impressive. Great evolution. But at this rate, he's going to die in 3 months. This man's body is rapidly becoming demonic. He's been very lucky so far. The changes haven't affected vital functions. But soon the dark energy will affect his organs. The kidneys and liver will be the first to be affected. And when it came to his lungs and heart, he would die from not being able to breathe. Hyun-seok hoped it was all a lie. He's perfectly fine after all. Rodich will have to prove his words. It's a demonic oath, but it doesn't allow for lies. Rota claims that the man Choi Hyun-seok will die in 3 months. Therefore, Rotach will treat this man. Choi Hyun-seok will begin to actively participate in Rota's experiments. Rota will not let Choi Hyun-seok die. The person will not mind any physical changes during the treatment. Choi Hyun-seok will not object to any mental or other abnormalities occurring during the treatment. It's a complete abandonment of the body, isn't it? What kind of agreement is that anyway? She'll take care of Mr. Hyun-seok, so he better not sign it. The insolent girl knows that divine and dark magic reject each other anyway. Up until now, nothing has happened because Hyun-seok has remained human for the most part. But if nothing changes, the holy power will soon become useless. Thus, they only have 3 months left. Therefore, a person has to make a choice. The second building is the men's dormitory. Rachel didn't understand at all how this happened to Mr. Hero. It turns out that he is terminally ill, and the only doctor who is able to help is a mad scientist that offers to sign a body waiver. At least he's given time to think about it. Hyun-seok asks if there's any way to get treatment without all the experimentation. Roigo suggested contacting Mrs. Hemis. It's unofficial, but there is a certain hierarchy among corps commanders. It is said that Madame Hemis is the second most important after the king, and if Madame herself interferes, even the 2nd Corps commander will be forced to retreat. Choi Hyun-seok and the captain of the 3rd Corps are here. Rodach ordered to let them in. Hyun-seok greeted him again. Rotach asked what it was in his hand. It was a crystal ball of communication. Roigo would connect them. Rotach immediately realized what they were going to do. There was indeed a Hemis on the other side. She inquired how Rotach was doing. He really hadn't seen Mrs. Hemis in a long time. The last time was at a meeting. Rotach asked what made the lady contact him. Nothing much. She just had only a small request. So he must write everything down, word for word, on the oath scrolls. First, Rotach would thoroughly and selflessly treat Choi Hyun-seok. Second, Rota will not harm Choi Hyun-seok in any way. Thirdly, Rota cannot change Choi Hyun-seok's body without his express consent. And lastly, Rotach will not allow Choi Hyun-seok to die before his contract ends. Rota asks this for another reason. Why would a corps commander treat some person like a high-ranking demon? She recalled an incident that happened 350 years ago. Perhaps she should, reminded herself who had picked up and raised Rothak when he had been abandoned by his own clan. Who had helped get him into office when the 2nd Corps commander had been chosen 200 years ago? Who personally saved him when he nearly died at the hands of humans 100 years ago? And who was imprisoned in the Black Fortress by the enraged Demon King afterward because of his help? If he realized that, he better shut up and sign. How dare they treat Rothak like that? He wouldn't let this go so easily for the sake of the pathetic man, or for the sake of Miss Hemis. Rothak ordered the crystal ball of communications to be brought in now. The next day. They have a lot to discuss, so he decided to get straight to the point. Hyun-suk wondered if he wouldn't arise about the terms of the oath. Rotech asked if he knew why the dark mana was changing his body. The use of such magic for humans is nonsense. That answer was incorrect. However, humans really aren't capable of dealing with demon mana. An ordinary person would have immediately exploded, worth a Sela getting inside. However, due to some circumstances and fate, the dark mana seems to have taken root and become a part of this person. That's why his body is changing. It changes Hyun-seok's entire existence into something more suitable, so that the demonic energy can continue to stay inside. The protagonist asks if there's no way to ascertain these changes. The transformation itself isn't, but there is a possibility that it can change the direction in which these changes will take place. So Rotash is planning to transplant a demon or magical beast body part to him. Hyun-seok asks what if he doesn't want to. In that case, he will live as long as his body can handle the dark mana, and then he will die. There's no need to worry. They'll keep his internal organs and appearance intact. They'll transplant something that won't be too noticeable. A hidden training arena. Now he must demonstrate how he uses his nobility. He generates an incredible amount of energy using clashes of dark and human magic. On top of that, he has enough physical strength and spirit to withstand something like this. Truly a talent granted by the heavens. Now he must use the promotion. The biggest change is the horns. Rodich doesn't even know if it's a conscious decision or not, but this guy is clearly lucky. It's an effective change that protects the internal organs. He really wanted to study it all and replicate it. If it wasn't for Mrs. Hemis, I would have dismembered him on the spot. If this ability is used en masse in the form of a chimera, no one will dare to look down on him anymore. However, the contract binds him. Hyun-seok asked what should be done next. He suggested to call it a day. He had already gotten all the information he needed. From tomorrow, step by step, he will start fixing this person's body and abilities, so now he can rest. After that, various kinds of treatments were taking place. Roygo and Evelson were observing this result. Rachel was also present there. He was indeed already dying. His skill had improved. This was all nonsense. His body and energy had become more stable. They would be done for the day. He barely tried to make it to his room. Rodech opened the communication crystal. Rotech asked if she could speak. There was a man there that asked what the matter was. He wanted to know the answer to the offer made earlier. As it turned out, he was talking to Hyuna. Rotech wanted to team up with her to crush the third core. She still doesn't understand. Hyuna is constantly at odds with her, but didn't Hemis raise him? They didn't seem to have it bad there. Things have changed. Mrs. Hemis and himself went their separate ways a long time ago. He claimed that chimera research would definitely become a powerful technique. Hemis asked how much longer he would rely on these cheap tricks. It didn't matter how powerful his chimeras were. It's all meaningless when their master is weak. And Rothak is indeed weak. He needs an answer, whether she's in or out. Even if their paths have diverged, it's possible to just keep ignoring each other like they did before. Yet he insists on hitting Hemis. That's the way it was. But now Mrs. Hemis has a very interesting specimen in her hands. If Rotech was able to replicate his ability, it would be possible to achieve incredible heights. It was about Choi Hyun-seok. Hyuna asked if he was really so unique that they could get rid of Hemis for him. His talent is worth it. It doesn't matter how strong Madam is. She definitely can't handle two commanders alone. That's why he suggested teaming up. Hyuna agreed. Even though he talks a lot, it would definitely be difficult to handle two alone. She asked to be informed when there would be a concrete plan. Rodich will contact her in a few days. All this was overheard by Rachel. Hemis only laughed at the fact that they were in such a hurry to give her this information. Hyun-seok asked if she wasn't surprised. Why would she be surprised? She had a premonition of it. After which she asked if that was the only reason they contacted her. The main character just wanted to ask what he should do next. He's like a shrimp that's stuck between two fighting orcas. In that case, she's got a great idea. An idea that will put dear Rotach in a very difficult position. It's Rothak's lab. He caught a mouse. Roygo has found where to go next. Is this really the treasure of the commander of the second corps that Mrs. Hemis spoke of? These are flasks with the dark mana of ancient beasts that are already extinct. This is the most poisonous. But it's better not to be in a hurry. This guy should know that if something goes wrong, Roygo is willing to spend on his funeral. Hyun-seok was touched to the core and thanked him for that. In that case, he decided to drink that liquid. Operation Self-Torture and Intimidation Group. The protagonist asked and what he should do. Hemis replied that he should traumatize himself. Of course, he didn't expect to hear that. Surely this guy wasn't scared, but she was being serious. He had just received a report that Rotach was being lazy in treating Hyun Seok. He'll probably only do the bare minimum because of the contract, and then get rid of this guy afterward. What does that even have to do with him having to traumatize himself? The precious Rotach has an essence of dark mana that he's been collecting his whole life. This guy will absorb one of them. Hyun Seok hoped it wouldn't kill him. He must remember the demonic oath after all. As long as it was in effect, then he wouldn't die in front of the second in command. Rota wouldn't let that happen. If Hyun Seok is still nervous, then he should just trust her. She raised Rotach, after all. Rotach was a great doctor for getting her recognition, so one should always read what he signs carefully. Rachel asked if he was okay. Surprisingly, everything is fine. And here he was about to say something about the flavor, just as suddenly this flask shattered right under his feet. He was bleeding from his mouth. That's what started it. Rachel asked why. He drank the concentration of the ancient demonic beast's dark mana. It felt more like death than anything else. They could have warned that it would hurt this much. Roigo forgot to say, well, it happens. After that, he woke up. The guy stood up and tried to realize where he was. This is the Second Corps Commander's office. This white hag has been courting the guy for 4 days and cursing for the same amount. Rachel asked how he was feeling. And then Hemis, Rothak, and Roigo came in. Roigo said he was feeling better, so she came in. He looked really well. He had even gotten stronger than she had realized. However, the protagonist wasn't sure about that. Only then did he notice that something was wrong with his arm. The dark mana of the ancient demonic beast he drank had settled inside his body. That demonic beast had a feature of having an invulnerable body. Now Hyun Seok had that specialty as well. She was even a little envious. Why on earth was he hiding something so worthwhile from her? The person's treatment had been completed. That's why he wanted to destroy the Oath Scroll. He could really do that. After all, the contract was only about the treatment. Rothak claimed that Mrs. Hemis would regret it. I wonder if he really thinks so. Hemis doesn't know what he's up to, but will she really regret it? That's still in question, but that's what it's looking forward to. Reedrun's training ground. Reedrun blocked his attacks, after which Hyunsuk threw another punch. He was even glad that he was able to hit much harder. At that moment, Reedrun swung at him. Everyone says that the protagonist has more strength, but he's still not Reedrun's equal. Does he really think he is? This guy is still growing faster than anyone Reedrun has ever met, and there's no such thing as no growth at all. It's best to forget about him. But his body is definitely not used to the new power yet. It would get easier soon. Hyun Seok wasn't sure about that. Even in the last battle, he needed help. He would have to be patient. Soon, he would have a chance to prove himself. Then next time, he would show how good he was. Demon King's army, Second Corps, they must hurry. All warriors must take up arms, and put all the chimeras in the crates. A subordinate has informed the commander that they are ready. In that case, it's time to move out. Their goal is to resume the human experiments and retrieve the Black Fortress that Miss Hemis stole. That arrogant head of the Third Corps and that insolent little man. And all the others. Rodich would destroy them and clean them up. Suddenly there was an explosion. The demons announced that they were being attacked by the Skeben tribe. It was the invasion of the Second Corps. The Skeben tribe. Rat-like creatures with an average height of about 1.5 meters. They don't have much strength for their size, but they're very intelligent. What amazing firepower. I can see why he was so confident. The subordinate reported to the commander that the fortress wall had fallen. Just as the commander of the Fourth Corps had predicted, they had not had time to fully rebuild the walls. He ordered to release the chimeras to the front lines and tell Gaeldao to catch that arrogant experimental man. Meanwhile, he and the Fourth Corps commander would deal with the Third Corps commander. He knew that Rat would pull something. Reedrun tried to calm this guy down because he needed to hold back now more than ever. Hyunsuk asked what he was going to do and what he was going to do. He's going to regroup the troops. And the protagonist has to deal with the division commander Gaeldao. That's Rotahe's subordinate. Usually Reedrun fought him, but he has faith in Hyunseok. In that case, he will fulfill everything. There's also something else he has to do. Reedrun ordered to take the saint along with him. Walking around and radiating holy power, she will become prey for the demons. Now he has to find some Gaeldao, but now he doesn't need to look for one. The division commander himself came to him. His combat strength is 162,730. Gaeldao is even stronger than the guy thought. It's on the level of Andrew's hero, if not more. Hyung-seok wondered if he could win. He ordered the woofers to take action. The protagonist told Mrs. Evilson to step aside. He was already rejoicing that he was able to catch this man, whom he would finish off with one punch. Did it really work? He shouldn't have said that. Helpless paws and useless teeth. He's not even ticklish. Promotion to level 3. Falling flowers. He immediately headed straight for his opponent. The Second Corps has the best technology in the entire continent as well. He can't lose to such a pathetic person. Gildo called everyone to his side. Evelson shouted that there are chimeras heading this way. The Saint will try to stop them with her sacred power. It was a bright flash of light. It won't last long. She's just releasing sacred power. However, even so, she helped him a lot. He didn't understand at all where a person got such strength from. And that wasn't even all the power. After all, their corps commander is a pretty excellent surgeon. The protagonist wondered if it was definitely the division commander. He doesn't seem to have much strength. Or is it just that he has become so powerful? Did he just not notice because there are always only strong opponents around? Evelson asked if he was okay. Hyun-sok replied that he was fine. Just when he wanted to ask if Mrs. Evelson was okay, he suddenly felt something. It was the radiated power of Hemis. Rotach hoped that the commander of the 3rd Anniversary Corps. How terrified she was. He even brought the 4th commander to deal with her. That's the act of a coward. She can call it whatever she wants. But right now, Rotach is going to outmaneuver her and overthrow her. Rothak asked if Park Hyung was ready. He offered to overthrow the commander of the 3rd Corps together. She only smiled, something she was suddenly hungry for. Rotach asked what she was even carrying. The girl replied that the two of them could have fun there, and she would go home to eat ramen. She remembered those very words when she had to think about which side to take, because this was going to happen quite often. Now the Devourer owed her. Hyuna hoped there would be no hard feelings between them now. Oh no, what a pity. Rotach's strongest ally turned his back to him. He had already realized immediately that they were in cahoots, and it was the right thing to do. Park Hyuna switched sides as soon as she heard his plan. So Hemis knows what he's up to. Did Rotach still want to continue? Indeed, he didn't care about his disadvantage. He'll show that a lot has changed in the last 100 years. Commander Park Hyung appeared near the protagonist and the Saint. The girl decided to drop by them to see if they were caught in the act. And then she noticed that he had only gotten stronger. It looked like she had nothing to worry about. Hyun-sok suggested that they were having a fight upstairs, right? Hyuna replied that his commanding officer had told her to just stand back, so she decided to just watch from here. The protagonist asked who she would bet on. Rothak is unexpectedly well prepared. However, he is still not Hemis's equal. Rotach asked what she was even doing. She needs to fight against him. After all, he is the commander of the 2nd Corps and the head of the Skeben tribe. Rotach is serious about this battle. And what should she do with this information? She's the only one who can win. Even Park Hyung's ally that he trusted has abandoned him. And the weapon that he's been sharpening for a day of years is completely useless. Does he really still want to continue? Hemis is right about that. But Rotach would not back down today. It was a tremendous destructive power that was aimed at Hemis's shield. Rotach suspected that even she wouldn't be able to withstand something like that. It really was a close call. She just decided to take it to another dimension. Rotach had indeed changed a lot, and was no longer the same person she knew before. He had grown a lot, and now it seemed to be her turn. He knew what that skill was. Thanks to this skill, he had lost a leg and 2 arms. He turned to Hemis-sama. She was already under the impression that he was going to beg for mercy. Rothak only wanted to ask. In her eyes, he's still the same weakling he was before. Useless and pathetic. He used to want to become as strong as Mistress Hemis. He wanted to become the kind of demon that no one could defeat. That's why he asked for Mistress to watch him. Rotach claimed that researching chimeras would definitely become a powerful technique. And how long is he still going to rely on pathetic tricks? It didn't matter how powerful his chimeras were. It's useless as long as the one controlling them is weak. He's still the same weakling she has to watch out for. Time is merciless. At first, it seems that some bonds can last forever. But time comes, and people fail to live up to expectations because of their questionable choices. Still, Rotach, the 2nd Corps commander, had brightened a few moments for her. She locked eyes with him, and he was even smiling. He seemed to be overjoyed that he had heard the very words he had wanted to hear throughout his life. Hemis thanked him. Rest in peace. Hemis informed a little later that they were moving. The place was already a wreck, and now to fix it even more. Reedrun and Hyung-suk had to agree to that. Reedrun inquired about where they would be going. She replied that they would be going to Gadrick Fortress in the 8th Division. Reedrun wanted to say something about the 8th Division, but she had already made up her mind. Therefore, he should go and write a letter. Have the commander of the 8th Division vacate his room. Reedrun doesn't understand why, of all the possible places, this is the one. What is Mrs. Hemis even thinking about? Hyun-sok asks what's wrong with this place. Gadrick Fortress is the closest line of defense to the human outpost. That makes it a dangerous place. Yet the commander there is quite capable since the fortress is still standing. It is indeed possible. Reedrun asked if he knew where the fortress of Hemmern was. Of course he doesn't know it. Reedrun mentioned that that's where they first met after all. As this guy already knows, they lost the fortress and had to retreat quite far. Grath was the commander of the 8th Division at the time, so they managed to escape the wrath of Lady Hemis. In the midst of all this chaos, he continued to defend Fortress Gadrick as his home. So he's more likely to defend his home than another. It's pretty hard to tell. It's unclear if he was defending it, or just using another ruse. Fortress Gadrick. What an arrogant bastard that bastard is. It was about Reedrun, commander of the 8th Division of the Demon King's army, Grath. He wants Grath to give his fortress to the commander of the 3rd Corps. What's that old witch Hemis up to? Either way, he has no choice, and he'd like to take a little more for himself. Grath, the commander of the 8th Division of the 3rd Corps of the Demon King's army, gave his name. This was the first time since the battalion commander selection tournament. What was it this time? Grath wanted to make an offer. The Holy Throne. First Sir Gifen, and now Andrew had failed as well. Orvan had faith in him. Could it be Choi Hyung-seok's work again? It really is. He's showing unprecedented growth. That's pretty bad. It's really bad. The Cardinal asked His Holiness about dealing with Choi Hyung-seok later. In the meantime, resolve the conflict with the Drasen Empire. The boy's stature may be unprecedented, but it's just one person. If Choi Hyun-seok were an ordinary person, Orvan wouldn't even talk about him. But this man is a hero. The Cardinal is only talking about him so lightheartedly because he knows almost nothing about heroes. It was too frivolous of him. It needs to be ripped out by the root before it has time to grow and consume everything around it. Orvan asked if there was any news from the spy. It's just been delivered. He offers to help deal with the Red Nightmare, the Devourer, and Choi Hyun-seok all at once. Orvan inquired, and how exactly? The 3rd Corps is going to move into Godric Fortress, and that's where their new base will be. The plan is probably related to that. Those are definitely interesting suggestions. However, why didn't the Cardinal tell this important information from the beginning? In return for cooperation, Grath demands 10,000 casualties, the return of several fortresses, and a non-aggression pact for 5 years. He didn't report the painting right away, because these conditions seemed excessive to him. Orvan inquired as to the reason for his decision. He had heard that due to internal conflicts in the Demon King's army, the position of commander of the 2nd Corps had become vacant. It was likely that Grath was aiming for that post and wanted to take advantage of the differences between Hemis and the Demon King. 10,000 casualties and recaptured territory is quite an achievement. The fortress was understandable, but the number of innocent souls was too much. Apparently, he had decided that their citizens were like common cattle. Orvan ordered the deal to be approved. He clearly hadn't expected such a cruel decision from His Holiness. They had a rare chance to get rid of 3 threats at once, and put a spy in one of the key positions in the demon army. For such an opportunity, he is willing to sacrifice not only 10,000, but even 100, or even 1,000,000. However, this time they should prepare more thoroughly. They cannot afford another failure. Orvan has ordered the legends from all regions to be summoned. This will be the final battle.